welcome back to another edition. Oh boy, I almost did it again. Of the Nextlander podcast. There's been a lot of Giant Bomb on the brain. But we are here at the Nextlander podcast. Alex Navarro, welcome back.
That is, in fact, our going concern, yes.
It used to be, there was a long time there, where's the GameStop, GameSpot thing, and then, as you know, now it's got to worry about doing a Beastcast thing. It's just, the brain is, it's all just one fucking smooth marble up there now.
It's a tangled nightmare. Sorry
for the swearing, didn't brand safety. Brad Shoemaker.
That's right. I know what brand it is because I've been banging on domain registrar stuff this week. And hey, by the way, I finally did that domain transfer for Nextlander.com.
Hey, by the way,
you'll be happy to know
you can go to games.nextlander.com and see our database.
Really?
Now. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I saw it immediately. I had to do some stuff on the back end. This happened to me with another site on the Cloudflare, but it was down for a little bit. I saw you had transferred it.
Yeah.
And it was down for a hot second. I just had to change something over.
Oh, it took days because every time they wouldn't accept it for one reason or another, I had to go update the DNS on the other side and then wait for that to propagate across the internet, which takes hours.
Record C names, MX.
Yes. Also, the Nextlander.com redirect to Patreon currently does not work. Just be aware.
No, it should now.
Oh, does it? Did you
Vinny fixed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, like I said, this happened to me with another site I had to bring over that I was like, I had never cared in my life about how much a record mattered. C names, or like
aliases. Are
you going to strict enforce, flexible enforce these things?
Time to live. You got to give a time to live number.
Well, Brad, you were not only were you out there banging on DNS records, but and look,
you're hearing the bang of a gavel.
Will we get a website up? The jury's still out.
You ever heard that famous tweet? Everything happens so much.
Yes. Yeah. It's the horse ebooks thing, right?
Frequent listeners will probably remember that I have been speaking about my jury duty summons off and on for the last couple of weeks.
As if it were a cloud hanging over your head, yes.
I went in for the actual summons on Friday, kind of just assuming like the other 6 or 7 times I've done that since I moved to San Francisco, that I would sit there for 2 or 3 hours and then get dismissed and say, okay, you're good until the next time I call you. Got a little housekeeping to go over here.
Hey, what's up?
I have been impaneled on a jury in a trial that is projected to last until somewhere around May 30th. And just for reference, we are recording this on the 7th.
That is some days.
4 days a week, 9 to 5-ish.
4 days a week, 9 to 5. So I won't be completely absent, but needless to say, this is going to present some challenges to our production process.
I'm going to add some editorializing here. First of all, Brad Shoemaker is an integral part of Nextlander and a third owner here. Your Honor, his absence will be felt, and it will be an extreme hardship.
I fully filled out that hardship form.
To the audience and to the other members of the courtroom, I would plead with you to take mercy on our souls.
Do not fly.
The schedule may be up and down a bit. We are trying to figure out how to do things,
now,
adjust.
Your Honor, I'm just a simple small town podcaster. I cannot be expected to weigh in on these big city matters. Yeah, no.
Well, hey, look,
it is what it is.
I thought maybe I should try participating in the justice system while we still have one.
That's right.
That's fair.
That's the last man standing. There you go.
Yep.
Now you can tell us all about those corrupt judges.
Yes. So all those Law and Order episodes will hit a little different.
Look, I want to say for the record here, before you get into Law and Order, because I will have to duck out of that conversation because I'm still just a novice in the Law and Order. I have not nearly as many episodes in as you guys.
Look, you know who Sam Watterson is, right? You know who Lenny Briscoe is. You know fucking Jerry Orbach.
Dude, really? You lived in New York that long and you have never watched the show that is famous for shooting constantly in New York?
You lived in New York for so long, you should have been on an episode.
Seriously, you probably walked through a shot.
I know more people that have been on the show than I know about the show.
All right.
I'll be honest, I've been looking for some silver linings because this is, like, let's be real, a pretty significant disruption to my professional and personal life.
Oh, it sucks, but
getting to see the innards of this whole process as somebody who has watched tremendous amounts of Law and Order, all of Boston Legal, parts of the practice, part of, like, name probably watched LA Law growing up with my parents or something. You know what I mean? Like I watched a lot of courtroom dramas, and so like getting to see it up close is like there's a particular thrill, I will say, to like seeing Night Court.
Yep, it's a show.
Like there's.
So we'll talk about it later. Magic.
Yeah, we'll talk about this another time.
I genuinely, there is an admition in place to not say a damn word about the case until after it's over.
So what I was going to say was, right, you cannot say anything really anything, but I can. And I said this to you before the show. As much as this really sucks, and it does suck for us work wise, and for you personally, it's a huge disruption. I think you're a great juror, and if I were to, I suspect you will be. I mean, you just started, but like, if I were doing a case, I'd want you. You're going to pay attention. You're going to like do your work, and I don't know. Like, you're a smart person that I would want on a jury. So this is how the system should work, right?
Oh, thank you.
Optimally, yes.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I'm going to play it safe and. They know I'm a podcaster. I'll put it that way. So
okay, great. So they're listening. If you're listening and you're from the jury pool, welcome. Welcome number. I don't know what number you are. I actually explicitly said, don't tell me in case any news gets out there. I don't want to know. If they're like, oh, jury number 7 was caught picking his nose. Be like, is that Brad? I don't know.
My understanding is I can talk about it after it's concluded, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, let's stick to the book for now.
Yeah. Before they throw the book at you.
Mm-hmm.
Our schedule will be, we're trying to keep things as much as we can the same, but things might move around, posting dates and recording dates as we try to fit in here. We currently, as it stands, we know that you should be able to have one day for the podcast, right? So,
yes. The patience of the audience is much appreciated, but I think we're going to be able to, or I think I will be able to handle this podcast and the Watchcast every week.
Okay.
From the sound of things.
So with that being said, check out this transition.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some people we might have coming on through the door, some people with some free time.
Some availability suddenly.
Folks, if you haven't heard, I can't imagine there's anybody listening to this who has not heard, because this is one big Giant Bomb family and also extended Polygon family. But the events of was it just last week?
Last week, literally like the day after Thursday. We recorded.
That's what I meant about the everything happens. So
yeah,
like that happened on Thursday. I had to go to the courthouse on Friday. Like it's just.
So we're gonna get to our games. We're gonna get to the news. We figured we'd kind of kick this off with Polygon. I know I'm friendly with people at Polygon. I don't know anybody there personally that I've talked to there, so I don't have any in-depth knowledge. But if folks didn't see, Polygon was sold as an entity to what is the name of the Valnet, and that's the rant people, the screen rant, the game rant folks.
Oh, are they screen rant?
Yes, they are. And
I did not realize.
And let's be real, the reason Valnet exists is because 2 of the guys that founded Brazzers went on to found Valnet.
Yes, I feel like that's the only detail I have actually heard about Valnet since this news came out. It's just people talking about that, which, hey, notable detail. We don't have any more information than is publicly out there or that we would share. But man, there have been layoffs, massive layoffs at that site, and
their masthead is now 8 people.
It's I swear to God, man, that before and after of the masthead that was going around on social media, it was like I could not believe what I was looking at. I mean, it must have been 20 plus people that lost their jobs, and not to be clear, not just as an absolute number, but that was most of the staff. It's not like they had a 50-person staff and they lost 20. It was like, from the looks of things, they had like a 27, 26-person staff, and like it was almost everybody.
And so, like, look, we've been around for a long time as people in this industry. Polygon was 2012-ish.
Yeah,
but it was full of people who also had been around for a long time. And it was
forged in the fires of what remained of Joystick. Really, it was a lot of the old Joystick editors that kind of initially populated that website.
And former Kotaku, there were quite a few people that had been around,
and also fostered talent. And that's one of the nicer things in an ever shrinking, if not totally extinct, ecosystem of bigger sites that cover games, right? The bigger monolithic,
the big box website.
Yeah, and Polygon to me on the outside seemed like they had figured it out. Vox had figured it out. I guess I didn't
in as much as anyone had. Yes.
Yeah. Seemed like they had compromised completely or like totally lost control of it. I don't know. This was a surprise to me.
It wasn't. It was. I mean, look, games media has not been in a good place for a long time. I don't know that any games media website is doing exceedingly well these days. But the thing that Polygon had, I think, in their corner was that they've had to reinvent themselves a couple of times over the course of those years, but they've mostly been pretty good at it. And I feel like they've managed to retain good talent, good writers, people who still had like a meaningful voice in this business, in this industry. And they were doing more than just churning out, the slop necessary to make the dollars go. Like, they were still making good stuff. And I feel like getting sold off the way that you have been sold off here to a company like Valnet, which I'm going to be real, I perceive as a straight-up media chop shop.
Content mill, yeah.
Oh, I mean, they've done the chopping is already evident. Like, they did it. Like, we don't even have to, it's not even perception. Like, they did it.
Like, that is, like, it's not just unceremonious and terrible. It's literally insulting.
It's crazy. Like, the swath of destruction of a, like, seemingly sustainable, like, August property. It's been around long enough to call it August, I think. Like, it's 12 years old. Like, that's enough time double digits is enough time to establish, like, a real reputation in the space. And
totally.
They were still going, and I don't know anything on the back end, but just reading, this is just based on reading public posts. I think they were financially sustainable. Like, it's not like they were bleeding money and had to be sold off.
No, I mean, Vox had problems, but they weren't specific to Polygon from what I could tell. And again, this is very much on the outside looking in. I'm not here to tell you what their financials were or anything like that. But I had never heard any rumblings ever that like Polygon was like deep in the red or failing. Like, that is not a word that ever came around.
And so, we've talked a little bit about this. I can't believe it's only been a week on various things, obviously, because those ripples felt very strongly throughout this circle that the listeners and we all are living in. Alex, have you, and you mentioned it, I think, on one of the other things we're on, but any word from what the union is saying? Because they had unionized workers there.
Yeah, I mean, they were in the middle of union negotiations when this happened. And, look, I'm not going to stand here and call this whole thing retaliatory because I don't know anything about what was actually going on with that. But they have put out like statements about like, we strongly object to what was happening here. We want to make sure that our people are taken care of and stuff. I don't know that anything has come of that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. There's something that feels, and we'll get into the Giant Bomb stuff in just a couple minutes here. There's something that feels like a little personal about
it's like peeing on the knife you're about to stab someone with. Like, it feels very just like you are literally just adding insult to injury.
Well, it's selling it to this company, Valnet. Like, it seems like you're marching it off to die. And
definitely.
And like, there's no reason for us on the outside to believe that Valnet will do anything but turn this into another mill, right? Like, use the name, and that just sounds terrible. Maybe there is some intent we don't know about, but there's really no reason to believe it, and that's depressing to me and to a lot of people.
You're not hearing a whole lot of people like speaking like, no, you got to give this a chance. Like, I have not seen that sentiment anywhere.
Yeah,
and even if there were, the majority of the staff would not have the chance to see that vision through because they're all gone.
They're all gone.
Like, and also, let's be real. There's not exactly a robust, thriving ecosystem of large games media sites left,
right, to absorb.
So it's not like there are a lot of other jobs out there for those people to transition into. Like, this is like just the sheer brutality of this action really is something to behold.
Mm-hmm. Best luck to everyone involved in that on the receiving end of the bullshit. So
I'll just, repeat my admiration for the things they strove for with that website and the team they put together over the years and just what they were able to accomplish in a space when large video game websites were already kind of starting to die off. Like, that shouldn't have worked at all. And I think that it's mostly by virtue of the talent they had that it did.
But they're not alone.
No.
Speaking of things that should have never worked at Giant Bomb. Boy, this one less. Okay, so I have to preface this, and we should probably say, obviously, if you were listening to this, you probably know we worked at Giant Bomb.
Yeah. You may know we have some proximity to this thing.
I want to know who you are if you don't know that.
And bless you
Tell
for
me
being
how
here.
you found us.
Yes, contact our marketing team and let us know what we did right to get you in this door. But look, there's some stuff we talk to people personally. There's information that we might have that we're not going to share publicly. But what I'll say is, what a goddamn mess! What a goddamn mess! And like,
It barely begins to describe what a mess that is.
yeah, like there's still. I said this before. There's still dust in the air.
Yeah, we don't even really know like the full breadth of everything that's happened there. We just kind of know what's been put out publicly. And like, obviously we have talked to some of our former colleagues there. There are things we can and cannot say, but like our level of clarity is not even like perfect on this. We still don't really know everything that's taken place here.
Yeah, and well, there's dust in the air, and it seems like there's, I will say people will share stuff when they are ready to share stuff.
Yeah.
I don't mean fandom. I mean the people affected by this. So, I don't want to get into any kind of speculation game. Obviously, our hands are tilted with stuff, and that's just weird. What I do want to do is talk about the people who have gone on to forge a new identity for Giant Bomb and to give them their props and respect, because we know how hard that is in any environment. So to the, Grubs, Jans, Dan, Minotti, Nikki, everybody else, Bacalar, who has held that thing together to make an identity for Giant Bomb, and one that's celebrated. I mean, like one that people really attach to. Given everything that has happened with Giant Bomb, is nothing short of Herculean. That is, Giant Bomb has never been the safest bet to put your money in on.
No.
And also, like, Giant Bomb aside and the relative capabilities of those people aside, like turning any brand around or like taking over in a transition like that is not easy.
No.
Like, doesn't matter who or what it is. Like taking a thing that had a very specific role and identity and doing something new with it. Like, don't take this the wrong way, but I kind of want to say, like, against all odds, they have done it. You know what I mean? And again, that's not a commentary on their capabilities. That's just to say that like anybody in any similar situation would have an uphill battle to turn it into something new, and they have totally done that.
Yeah, they made it so somebody can say this was my Giant Bomb, right?
Yeah,
and
so like it's a distinctive era of Giant Bomb, I guess is the best way to put it. Giant Bomb, we were there for a very long time, and we were there for some rough times, and we were there for times when we all thought it was going to spin into pieces. It is not really relevant, but I am always reminded of the was it Funny Farm? That's just termites holding hands, right? That's not a bridge. That's just termites holding hands. Look, I have gone over some of this before. I will mention it again, because what you see from these people, I'll call them heroes. what you see from these people is really just probably a tip of an iceberg. And like, again, some of this we know because we've talked to people, and some of this we know because we were living some of it. And below that sea level is a much bigger thing that these people have probably, and I know for a fact, have been dealing with. And what you see a lot are really happy faces giving you the best content they can. And delivering that stuff, probably with a lot of real fucked up circumstances underneath, right?
Yeah. Because that's certainly how it was when we were there.
Because that's how it was, and that's how it is, and that's not particular to Giant Bomb or even to GameSpot or any job. That's the job, right? But like, particularly when you're on camera and doing hours and hours of content, and that can be hard. That's a hard thing.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I can say top to bottom that what you see on a screen is not reflective of the state of operations internally in any sense. Like, just know that. And like, honestly, even outside the domain of just internet content, that's probably an argument for allowing a little more grace to anybody whose situation you get a small glimpse of, and not trying to assume you know everything about what's going on. Like, guys, the iceberg metaphor is incredibly apt here.
There's just a lot under that sea line. And look, I'm going to speak from personal experience here, because that's mostly what I know the best, but my memory is pretty terrible. But like, I can think of at least 2 or 3 occasions where I had a foot out the door, where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's where it's just like, man, Giant Bomb is kind of resilient in a way, but it's not from the corporate structure. It's from the people who get on camera, put that shit aside, and try to do some good, fun, goofy stuff to keep the people going. Look, the whiskey days were a particular thing. The whiskey days were, that was a time when we felt like we were building a thing together, right? Like we were idiots. Mm-hmm. We had come out of GameSpot, which was the man, right? That was like, we were like, let's fuck that place.
Fresh off a very intense grievance.
Yeah. So like, Gerstmann had gotten fired. We had all left. Already, we were starting from a place of it's not like a fuck the corporation, but kind of like, like, hey, we're going to do this thing. Fresh-faced little kids, right? Like doing this, who had, in some cases, Brad and Alex, you had already been doing it for 8 years, maybe a decade, but like, but that was
for my part, like coming out of GameSpot, like there was a very intentional sense of injury, frankly, because like, how hard we killed ourselves at GameSpot to get that product out. And it felt like they had, this is 20-year-old practically rhetoric at this point, but like it felt like overnight they flushed our reputation down the toilet. It's like,
yes,
like you have undermined all of the hard, like you in the management with this one boneheaded decision have undermined all of the hard work we have spent years putting into this thing to make it the kind of respected institution that it is.
And for literally no good reason.
Yeah. Just, somebody's financial reasons, right? Like it was like whiskey got the tone, like we were able to build, I think, what the tone of that site was going to be, right? Because it didn't exist. And I think that, carried on. It's weird to feel the echoes of that independence try to carry on. Whiskey was fairly independent, but we had to make money. We had to make money. And out of some of that stuff, some of the weirdest stuff happened. That's where quick looks and endurance runs. And we've talked a lot about like kind of the what inspired some of those things, right? Like have a video a day, or like
Giant Bomb had a parent company, and that parent company existed significantly before Giant Bomb did, right? Like it was, I think Giant Bomb was the 3rd website that came out of whiskey. So
third or second was Comic.
Technically Comic Vine.
Anime Vice.
Comic Vine's no, that was later. Comic Vine technically started independently and was acquired and brought under the whiskey umbrella. And then remember Political Base?
No, I had forgotten about.
You remember all those pictures of the founders in powdered wigs upstairs?
Oh my gosh! No, I had forgotten. No. Oh. Okay. Well.
Yeah, the point is, the point is, it was a company. There were people with money behind it. Like it was not just 4 dudes in a basement. There was an upstairs to that basement, and the people upstairs had plans and visions and expectations for how things should be going downstairs.
Yeah, it was made as a thing that I always saw as like, this is probably getting looked to sell. Right, this is a thing that is maybe Shelby wanted to rebuild CNET.
Yeah, or those were the heady days when Shelby was proclaiming the death of the CPM.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't wrong.
He totally was. Just 10 years too early. Anyway.
But like what we were doing was putting a lot of ourselves into building what we thought was fun for us, right? Like what we wanted to cover, what we thought we could do. And some of it was mother of invention, is whatever it is, necessity, right? We just didn't have a lot to build these things.
It was literally like in both hands. On one hand, it was what's going to be fun. On the other hand, it's like, how can we cover games better? Like that's
necessity, mother of invention. That's what I was thinking.
Yes, but it was literally, hey, we want to have fun because we have creative freedom, but also like we still have this like mission in our heads from GameSpot that we are here to cover video games. Like, what's the most efficient and like smartest way to do that?
And some of those things, it's funny to see those get echoed and carried on, and see people put their own spin on it and carry that torch, and like an endurance run or like a quick look style thing, to be like, man, those all started because we just didn't have it to do other stuff. But that being said, the other thing that I wanted to get at is it's hard. There's stuff inside. Like Brad, you probably remember this. I came back, I think it was that first E3 in tears. Like I was I was ready to go. It was I was broken.
I did not realize how bad that was.
Like
in the moment.
It was like that was too much, and I think that's afterwards we got a Drew, and a Drew is a great thing to have.
Like a very, very quick realization, and that was like a month. No, that was.
It was pretty soon after
it was like 2 weeks after we started, or a month after we started, or something. It was like right at the beginning. It was like, oh, one video guy's not going to cut it here.
I was ready to quit, and then that could have been a moment there, but we figured it out. There was the sale. I did not want to go to CBS. That deal to me, first of all, we had all left there.
Yeah.
There was something ironic. There was something funny about going back there in the interim.
From a pure comedy perspective, it was kind of perfect, but
it was in the interim they were bought, right? Like we had left from GameSpot and from CNET.
Very quickly after. Actually,
yeah,
like
and in a historically bad deal.
The CBS acquisition got announced like 2 weeks after I left or something.
If anybody had any stock, but yeah, that you should go. Anybody who is curious about that should go look up the commentary on how that deal played out and the amount of money spent on that. I feel like that is probably up there in one of those, like, I don't know if anybody cares, but probably up there in one of those, like, you overpaid.
They teach us at business school to not do that.
Les Moonves literally said in an interview, I would not have paid that much for CNET if I had to do it. I've never, ever seen a CEO say that about any deal ever.
Well, at least we know Les Moonves is regretful about one thing at least.
Yes.
It definitely my extremely, extremely paltry stock options coming out of CNET. It was kind to those, I will say that.
So yeah, I did not want to go back there, and also the deal that was being hammered out, I thought was just not equitable. Like it did not make good on some of the promises I felt like we had established at Giant Bomb, and I was pretty pissed off about that, and threw my tantrums and did what I felt was necessary to do to try and make it a little more equitable. But I was not happy, and like I was also a shareholder. Brad, you were one too, and we had to have everybody sign off to go. And so, all right, fine, let's go. Let's do this. But then I was not happy there too. Then I was going to leave again. So like, I don't want to just throw this into like tantrum mode, but it was like, it's a lot. That's when I went over to New York, and to go start things over there. But for the grace of God, a Giant Bomb East was born. And it's tough, and that's this bottom of the iceberg stuff that's like, I don't know everything those people have been dealing with over there. I know what we went through, and I know all the great times we had and stuff that was awesome. But there's a lot to happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fandom buyout was literally the only buyout none of us were there for. And so, all we really know about what ended up happening there is mostly just what, friends of ours have told us and kind of all of that. But the thing I feel like I can feel fairly confident in saying, especially seeing what fandom's response was to all of this happening, is that no company that has ever bought Giant Bomb ever understood it. Not a single one. Not a single fucking company ever grasped what that thing was. And to be fair, in the media space, it could be kind of an inscrutable thing. I'm not saying that there was a magical company out there that would have just gotten it, that would have just figured it out, that everything would have been rosy, but it has been a succession of companies that have been, at best, mildly indifferent to it, and at worst, actively harmful to it.
I think CBS bought Giant Bomb because of a couple of reasons, but I think the offer was there because they wanted to patch up the Jeff stuff and have that just be a thing that was hanging over GameSpot's head.
I mean, you want to talk about a company that had to build some shit after a bunch of people left. Let's talk about where GameSpot was for a number of years.
Yeah, I think they wanted to just patch that up and move on. And this was a way to pay out of it. I also think they saw where the personality stuff was going and wanted to absorb us and be like, okay, like let's get those echoes to reverberate inside of GameSpot, right? Hey guys, look at they're doing it. They figured it out. Like
I think it was, frankly, it was an effort to add legitimacy to the CBS Interactive stable of gaming properties, right? Like that's not a commentary in any way on the work that people at GameSpot were doing at that time, because like I'm friends with a lot of those people, but like we have reiterated here multiple times, like the reputation of the site took a massive hit in 2007.
And anyone who was working there at that time would freely admit that.
Yeah, there were people outside the building, when Jeff was fired.
And like, I'm not trying to sit here and say Giant Bomb was so ahead of its time and like changing the world or whatever, but like we obviously like had hit on something that kind of seemed to, what's the word I'm looking for?
It resonated. It hit a note that other sites were not hitting.
Or kind of saw where things were going is what I'm trying to say, though. It's like, seems like maybe, we didn't know that at the time, but it seems like this is kind of the direction that games coverage and maybe even internet content generally is going. And like bringing a brand that has proven that it can do that into the fold is what I mean, is something that could add legitimacy and look like, oh, hey, we're with it. We're doing the new thing.
And Giant Bomb, I think I think that on that CBS part, at least the people who brokered that deal, who left not that long after.
Not long.
Kind of at least understood what Giant Bomb had been and where it might come in. Having two gaming media sites always seems silly, having GameSpot and Giant Bomb working, Giant Bomb kind of in a corner intentionally. We wanted to go hide in a corner, carving out studio space out of empty husks of desks. I did not want that deal to go through either. Like, to be clear, like I really don't like talking about my personal experiences and feelings about my professional life and stuff. But like, I will echo what you said. Yeah. I was bristling at the idea that thing was actually going to close, and we spent a lot of time in bars talking about that thing.
Like, I mean, for both like large personal and professional reasons, and also even mundane ones. Like, I don't want to have to deal with the shitty IT stack of software on my laptop anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, we had freedom at a startup to do things exactly the way we wanted to do them with no red tape whatsoever. And I'm not like, I swear this is not some libertarian screed about government bureaucracy or something. But like in that case, like we could just do whatever the hell we wanted and not have to worry about approvals and purchasing. I mean, there's some amount of process, of course, but like, it was not like weeks or months of, we got to wait for purchasing to do this. We got to wait for IT to install the software. It's like, have an idea, do it. Like that was it, like that creative environment, that fast-paced environment was by far the most professionally fulfilling environment I have ever worked in. And that went away when that deal closed. And yes, like you said, we all had to sign off on that deal. And I feel like I remember fairly distinctly like pacing around the Inner Richmond at night one night, getting text messages from the biz dev guy going like, hey, you got those documents ready?
Yeah.
Like,
when are you signing them?
Like, hey, what's going on? Like, it was a thing.
So, there's probably a better place and time to do another full rundown of the Giant Bomb stuff and the history of it. But having then just kind of going back to, people just don't know what Giant Bomb is. I feel like there was CBS when we were bought, and then there was CBS Interactive a little bit later on after everybody had kind of left, and there was a little bit later Giant Bomb. They still had not figured it out, right? We did not know what to do. At Giant Bomb East, things for me felt like a little more whiskey. We were building a thing again. We were building an identity at Giant Bomb East. I loved working there. Like we're in a bubble, but we were able to just kind of succeed at recreating a atmosphere that felt a little more like the early whiskey days. I think for me personally, everybody was kind of in it. Everybody felt pretty motivated. We had problems because we were humans, but we felt like we were building a thing, not with equity or anything this time, just of a brand. But I know from talking to people, and I know from talking to you, Brad, that didn't always feel that way back at the home office, right? Like there was a lot of maybe thankless nights happening of like toiling away. So like. That stuff, again, just, I have to imagine there were a lot of thankless nights at the current Giant Bomb as people are working away, trying to figure out the balance between making what they want and trying to make whoever the string holders are happy, right? Like, it's Giant Bomb. I'll just say Giant Bomb teetered on in the black and profitable to, sometimes in the red or breaking even. but it was never a corporate gem. It was never the thing that you're like, oh, we're not going to let Giant Bomb go because they make all the money.
No.
It was the poster child of the thing you hear over and over, which is that it was a business that was sustainable, but not like,
it was flash. It had more flash than
but not with explosive growth potential.
No.
Like we could get by as a business, but were we going to like boost the division's P&L sheet? No.
And sorry, Alex, I didn't want to cut you off there about.
No, it's just I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. Like, we made the thing that we wanted to make, and I'm speaking of my time there. I know you guys obviously were there for a couple of years. You were there at the founding of the site. I was not. I came in with Screen a little bit later. You want to talk about deals where things maybe did not work out super well? Let's talk about Screen. But like, I feel like the thing that Giant Bomb persevered with, the thing that ultimately not just kept it afloat, but like made it visible and valuable to an industry writ large, is that we just did something fucking cool. Like that's like it's hard to tease out exactly what it is about that, but I think the thing we did was we made a place where the video game industry wanted to hang out and congregate and do things around. Not everyone, but like you saw it a lot with like our E3 coverage and things. Like people came out of the fucking woodwork wanting to be on our shit, even though we were nowhere near the biggest or most visible website out there doing games coverage. Like there was a cachet and there was like a genuine aura we built with that thing. All of us did that. And that's a hard thing to quantify. That's a hard thing to turn into money. But if you are just looking, like you said, to add some legitimacy and to add some, I don't know, some stroke to what your games media library and of websites is, I kind of understand how we existed for as long as we did, because we did add a value. It's just not value that existed on a balance sheet.
That's right. Yeah, the balance sheet sucked. Like we
were in the black technically a lot of that time,
sometimes,
but we were also never like,
the end.
Yeah, but we were never like crazy profitable.
Depends how you do the math, right?
Yeah.
Like, look, so being part of the corporate structure, you had to pay your corporate tithe, right? So
yeah,
you wind up taking a little percentage here goes to Les Moonves, a little percentage here goes to the next person, a little percentage here goes here, a big percentage here goes to marketing, some percentage here goes to
for some
PR.
reason, some of that money seems to be going into someone else's losses. Not really sure why that's happening.
They would definitely shuffle stuff around. And at CBS, because I worked on these P&Ls, it would get rolled up into games, and then that would get rolled up higher. So it didn't really, at some point, it didn't really matter what happened below games.
Mm-hmm.
But so you can move the money, or you can rob Peter to pay Paul in some places to be like, oh, okay, look, GameSpot took a hit here, but like it's going to roll up, and games is still going to look good here, right? This quarter, right? At some point, Stan was a big part of this. Dave in Alaska was a huge part of this. I remember sitting and working with Dave. I told the story a bunch because it's very fun to me. We would call it the black hole. We'd see like, where is this money? Like, I know how much we pay all our salaries, and I know how much we cost, and I know what the studio stuff is. I know everything here. Where is this missing black hole going, and what are we getting in return for it? I can see the building costs. I can see the hire costs. I can see the headcount cost, all this stuff. And eventually we tracked it down, and a lot of it was marketing and PR and sales, right? And so eventually we tracked it down to be like, okay, let's get the return, right? Like, how much is sales selling Giant Bomb? And the amount, and it was like negative. We were just like, we were so negative on the balance sheet of like, wait, we're paying in this percentage, but we get nothing back.
Hey.
And look, it's not malicious, okay? Because on the spreadsheet, everything under games just gave a certain percentage. You would tithe in. But at some point we were able to basically eliminate that or reduce it to be like, well, look, we don't have, if you're going to operate this business and tell us here are our goalposts and stuff, and you're going to run this, we want to be excluded from some of this percentage, right? At the end of the day, I think they just fucking hand waved to make us happy. Like I said, it's all games at some point, and so the money goes all different places. But with the
we were running a subscription business. We were running a business that explicitly pivoted.
We could see
on,
the money in,
and explicitly the business model pivoted on removing ads for paying customers. Like the bulk of our revenue was coming from people who never saw ads. So like, what is a sales team doing for a business that does not leverage ads as the core of its business?
Yeah, right. I still have the spreadsheets that I do presentations with and be like, look, here's rev in from subs, here's our merch, here's our cost, here's our OPEX, here's our CAPEX, and like, here's how much we negatively pay to the people who are selling ads, right? And again, it gets a little more complicated because people would sell as bundles to GameSpot, and then
like
we'd
E3 packages and stuff.
Yeah, and then inventory would run on Giant Bomb, so they would count some of that. But the net effect that happened was when we eliminated that chunk, it was big enough for a lot of people to get little pay bumps, and I think that's when we brought on Abby. I think it is like we were able to. That's and how Ben. Big. And Ben, yeah, like I don't remember exactly how it all worked out, but I know it was significant enough to be like we can bring in headcount and people can finally get some kind of like make good on. Some people could get a make good on salaries and stuff, and it was a real like moment. It was like a big moment for Giant Bomb, and that part of the corporate part was so fucking amazing and weird.
Yeah.
Because it was my realization that like, because I would just be talking to people and then be like, there's no drop down for that. Like it's that kind of thing. You'd be like, what do you mean? Brad can't make that money because I can't make it work in the drop down thing. Be like what is he? Be like, he's Brad. Like, what is he? What's his title? Oh, that salary doesn't go into that thing. He needs 3 more reports.
Right.
Be like, Brad, we don't have 3 more people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Well, that was, to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but my recollection is that the reason a lot of that investigative work got done in what is this black hole was because you and the West Coast studio had both been asking for new hires, and they just kept saying, there's no money. There's no money.
There was never money.
And that's the thing, is that at a certain point that stopped making sense. And I feel like that's what sent you down the path of like, well, where is that money going?
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I think with that stuff happening was the bubbling up of people, bubbling down and bubbling up of people of bigger places getting consolidated and people leaving and starting things like Patreons or their own business from the games media. I think there was I think Kind of Funny was going around about then. I think Danny had left.
I believe Danny was gone. Like that was around the time, and then of course Drew. That was around the time that people were starting to leave these corporate media positions, and that was parallel to the rise of Substacks and stuff. Like there were multiple platforms springing up that were allowing this sort of thing, but that was the beginning of the big move to independent media.
So there was a little, and there was a little more, I don't want to say leverage, but like personality stuff showed that it could be profitable in certain environments. And this is the part that I don't know what's going on in fandom. It was the thing that was in CBS. It was definitely in Red Ventures, is understanding that the thing you bought, an early Giant Bomb, I won't call them out by name, but the people who brokered that deal, I think, understood this. Early Giant Bomb was never Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb was the collection of the people in Giant Bomb, right?
Right.
And without those people, you have nothing.
Yeah.
You might have the wiki, you bought the data, you might have the code, which you might own or not, but really, without the people in Giant Bomb, you have nothing, and you have to keep those people happy.
Yeah.
Like pay those people, compensate those people, support those people.
Listen to those people when they say things are broken.
Because you're not selling Giant Bomb, you're selling those people. You really are. And like that was a thing I had to hammer into a lot of the people up there. Is just like, you're not selling this, you're selling Jeff or you're selling Brad. Like this is like, we argued, we're getting a little off the rails here, but like there was arguing a lot, especially towards the end, about, hey, I think maybe we should get a cut of podcast revenue because it got to the point where we were having to do personal endorsements for ads, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And it'd be like, well, you have to do it because you're a podcast host, and be like, I don't like this product. We would push back sometimes and it would be fine. Sometimes we have to do stuff, be like, hey, maybe it would be better if you just gave us a cut since they need a host read endorsement of this. they just they never wanted.
That was one that I felt extremely uncomfortable with and dodged at every opportunity.
Yeah. So like, kind of going full circle here. Like we could sit and reminisce for forever. A lot of empathy, a lot of mirror neurons firing off for hearing a lot about this stuff happening at Giant Bomb. I'm sure the circumstances and the details are different, but I think, Alex, like you said, somebody picking up Giant Bomb and not knowing what they have in their hands maybe is the one thing that's
honestly the story of the site.
Yeah. That kind of goes.
Not knowing what they have and also not caring enough to learn.
Yeah.
Like not caring enough to stop and take a real look at it and see what's working and what's not and try to nurture and grow it. You know, I mean, they wanted to grow it, certainly.
Yeah.
But nurturing,
every company does that.
I will say, like, for us, we knew, look, I still have very mixed feelings about leaving Giant Bomb, right? Like, it was a thing that we built and I loved and I felt. By the time I got out of there at Red Ventures, I had had enough conversations with you guys and with Red Ventures to know that my time there was running out, right? Like I knew, Brad, you and I talked about it. We talked with Jeff a lot about it. It was like one of those things where like we all knew what was going on here at some point to be like, we should get out of here. Alex, I talked less to you about it because you were reporting to me.
Yeah, you're my boss. We did not really have that conversation.
But what we did talk about, and I think I've mentioned this before, is, hey, I think we should roll down. I think we should, what was the term we used to say inside? We should, sunset. We should sunset Giant Bomb East. Like Dan had left.
Abby was leaving.
This was pre-COVID.
Okay. I'll back up just a little bit. So that was about February 2020. The earliest conversation I remember having with you about getting out of there was December 2019 Game of the Year.
Oh my gosh, your memory is so much better than mine.
Dude, you don't remember?
Because I was out
there. You remember sitting in that conference room the night before your very early flight?
Like those tree stumps or whatever, like near the Think Palace or whatever.
You had like a few hours to kill before you had to go to the airport at 5 a.m. or whatever, and it was just like, let's just hang out in here and talk. And like I distinctly remember the conversation and saying like,
it was you, me, and Jeff, right?
I believe that one was just you and me.
Oh, okay. Because
again, that was before the pandemic. That was before. I don't know if Dan had given his notice at that point or not. I think he had. I believe we knew he was on the way out, and I distinctly remember going like, "What are we doing here? Like everybody's getting out of here. Like, did we really still need to be under a corporate umbrella to be doing this?"
Yeah, and so like this. So what we talked about at Giant Bomb East was. And these were conversations we were having internally. I think Brad, you and me and Jeff would talk about this stuff too, is, hey, what if, Alex, you remember these? Like, what if we just didn't rehire for Dan and we call it for Giant Bomb East, right? Like, I'm very proud of what we've all done here. I don't know, like the West Coast could use the head count. What if we rolled up Giant Bomb East? I think we were going to announce at E3 and then basically gave that head count back to the West Coast and been like, you need people. They're not giving you the money. We're good here. And I think the idea was like, let's see. I was working out, could I transition to something else in bigger, CBS and interactive? And could we get severance for you, Alex and Abby? Like you, let's see how big a package we can get so that you don't have to quit, that you can get paid to roll this thing out. And we were making some headway in that, right?
People don't understand how close this came to happening until the pandemic started. Like you were like, I mean, again, the plan was like, hey, this is a massive change. We're going to need like 3-4 months to plan for this. And also there's something nice and symbolic about waiting till E3 for a big send off.
It's always, everybody always expects it's the October surprise at the E3.
But that was months down the line executing on the plan, but the plan was about to be put in motion. Like I am not joking.
It's pretty close, like weeks away.
About a week or two before the blanket work from home thing started. Like the trigger was about to be pulled on that whole thing. Like it was basically a done deal. And then the world turned upside down. And then it was like, well, if you've got a job, you should probably cling to it for now and see what's going to happen before you make any decisions.
Yes. I think, Alex, we were streaming. I think it was Def Jam, right? Or,
No. I remember it.
Yeah.
Crystal fucking clear 4K, exactly where I was when that news came down.
But like, you know, if not for the pandemic, like your office would have ceased to exist like pretty shortly after
And you guys, we worked together with Jeff and Brad. We were working on like, okay, what would you hire? What headcount would you get? Here's what my salary could get. Here's what Alex and Abby's salaries could get. What people would we bring in? Here's a transition plan. I think the idea was like, look, I'm kind of done. Alex, what do you want to do? Right. Like, and like, Abby, what do you want to do?
And I think at the time we were having those conversations, I still had not made up my mind about what I was going to do. I really hadn't thought that far ahead on it because I still
were pretty burnt out by that point.
I was. I'm not saying that I would have stayed because I think there's a decent chance I would have left, but I still really hadn't quite formulated where I was going to go. I was just kind of bummed out that like it felt like things were starting to peter out.
I want to say there were some loose conversations about bringing you to the West Coast office. I'm not sure that your opinion on that matter was
never sought.
I mean, it was not serious. It was not serious. It was just some spitballing.
But look, I don't want to misrepresent. Like, this wasn't a mandate. No. This was something that we
were talking. We were having those conversations,
and we agreed. I think we agreed because I wasn't going to do it unless we all agreed. That
that's the other thing. What I was saying was like I remember saying to you, I was like, look, there's no part of me that's going to stop you from trying to leave because if you are serious about getting out of this, there's literally no part of me that's going to cling to that because like to what end, really? So, I mean, any uncertainty I had more had to do with my own personal career and not with we have to save this thing because we, like you said, we were all pretty burned out by then.
Pretty burned out. And like, I think we saw that they just weren't giving us resources. Like,
and it wasn't going to change.
And like, we weren't even sure what was going to happen with Dan's headcount.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And then I think we were all like, let's hold on to a job if you got him. Is the world ending? Let's just make sure. And then Red Ventures happened.
Yeah, 6 months after the pandemic started. Another buyout.
Here's my bit of a personal shake my fist. Motherfuckers probably knew that Red Venture sale was happening, or sales were not. Maybe not.
There
Red
were
Ventures,
conversations probably being had.
They probably knew a sale was happening. That it was being shopped around when we were having those conversations about Giant Bomb East. When we were having those conversations about all of the headcount. When we were having all of that stuff, and there was probably at the tier that we were talking to I don't know for sure because nobody has ever admitted to it. Conversations of like, oh, we just kind of get through to this thing, then the sale will go through. Maybe not. Maybe it all happened last minute, but it was not that long after.
I do think the COVID thing probably hastened some things along for these companies that needed to make some hard decisions about both what kind of real estate they wanted to hold on to and what they thought were going to make them money in the long run.
Well, it also hastened decisions for us because it proved to be a very effective test bed for figuring out if we could do this sort of thing ourselves.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
Like it was a very, very rapid test, like trial run.
Totally. Like, what does it take to do this from home?
Like, oh God, I have to handle all this video and audio production shit myself now. Like, let's figure this out.
I learned more in 6 months of doing COVID streams than I had learned in the previous several years, just by necessity.
And there was a brief. I think Brad, you and I disagree on this. I think our perspectives were a little bit different. There was Red Ventures. For me, there was a hint that maybe things could turn around. That it could. Okay,
that was the gesture they were making.
Maybe they'll do a thing. I think Brad, you never really had that kind of hope.
Well, it was less an assessment of like whether they would make a difference in a positive direction for us, and more that I just knew in my heart I was done. Like the morning they announced that acquisition, I was just like I felt it about as strongly, almost as strongly as I did when we left GameSpot, when it was like, I can't, for like strong, principled, professional reasons, don't feel comfortable being here anymore.
Yeah.
It was like, I just can't do another corporate transition. I can't do another...
You don't have to explain your job to another person.
Can't do another cycle of us trying to prove that we matter to another company that probably, by the looks of things, is even less compatible with what we do than CBS was.
And boy, that turned out to be right.
Like the CBS era had a lot of problems. Like, let's be real, there were a lot of problems. But like, at least the site itself had reached some kind of level of stasis, I feel like.
Yeah, stability. Well, stability is maybe not the right word, but yes.
And in terms of like people upstairs telling us like what to say and not say on streams, or like they weren't not dictating. Like we still had, within the like very narrow limitations of the resources we had, basically still had freedom to do what we wanted, right?
Yeah. It was definitely a devil you knew. Like, it was and we had we had proven that look, we can be in the black, just leave us alone. If you're not going to give us the resources, don't mess with us. And they kind of, for the most part, they didn't. I mean,
from a content perspective, they almost never touched us.
No, there were definitely parts that are beyond the scope of this conversation. I wish they did tinker with the parts where we were like, please come in and tinker with this. Pretty please, we're dying here. But they did not. But they didn't come out. There was never anything like what I've heard come out of fandom of some kind of like.
Yeah, they never got any fucking
brand safety thing.
They never got any like warmed over Parents Television Council bullshit with us.
Yeah.
Like it was never like you can't say that kind of stuff.
But Red Ventures for me, I think I've told this story before, and I'll tell it very quickly. I was in this meeting. They were trying to figure out what to do with Giant Bomb. I think it was me and Jeff and my boss at the time, and the head of, I forget what his name was. I can't remember. The head of the Red Ventures game department, for lack of a better word. And we all had to have our pitches, and they were like, "What's the big swings? We're like, what are the big swings?" And I was like, we can't do big swings. We have to fix the base. Like we got to make people, we're all broken right now. And nobody was, to borrow a phrase from Alex, nobody's doing okay here.
Yeah.
Like it was a pretty rough time. We were streaming a lot. We were trying to figure it out. Nobody really knew what was going on. Like we have to focus here. Let's add some support in. We need some extra people in here to take this load off. It's falling apart. And they got so mad at me for being like, no, but what big shows, like what big grand shows? And I was like, you're not listening. Anything you sell, I don't have faith that you are going to fill in the gaps for the people. And you're just going to ask more of us to make these big shows for as lean as possible. And I've been around long enough. I get it. They want the thing they think is going to make a lot of money.
They want to justify why they just spent money on this thing.
And they say they're going to spend it. My faith was not there, and I knew that we needed to make people happy at the bottom first, because I would talk to you guys all the time and be like, what do you guys need, right? And be like, hey, we're fucking dying here, right?
I was not in that meeting, but my recollection is you coming out of that meeting and what you were told when you said like, hey, we need to fix the fundamental problems with this thing before it can move forward and get bigger, was that they effectively said, well, okay, we had a subscribe. I still feel, we haven't been there in years. I still feel weird talking like numbers. Like I don't want to get into how many subscribers we had exactly, but if we have X subscribers,
we need
what they said was it was 250% of X. Like I'll tell you that it was like, tell me how you're going to get to this many. And it was 2.5 times what we already had. Tell me how you're going to get to this number, and then we'll talk about making changes.
And it was that,
what are you talking about?
Talk about literally throwing the horse off the cliff before the cart. Like
we're
what the fuck
are
you talking about?
We're trying to tell you that this is like not sustainable as is, and you want us to more than double it before you talk about addressing that? I
was so mad. Like my memory's not perfect, so this is more.
No. I remember some of these very specific things you told me in the moment.
Yeah. And like, I remember somebody telling me like, "Hey man, you're not like playing along. Like you're not doing the thing.
Why should you?"
And they kind of stopped inviting me, even though I should have been there, to some of these things. I think Jeff would just go and talk about doing the big swings and stuff. But I was just so like you just don't fucking get it. Like this team you're losing this team. Like this thing is you don't see it. It's like turning to ash. Fucking fix it.
But that's the thing, right? Is that the thing they bought, they had no perception of what that team even was, let alone what the problems were. It was a pack-in. It was a thing that came along with their purchase of these games things. So to them, they think it's a clean slate. They're just like, oh, well, you're at a new company. We'll give you these resources. How are you going to hit these targets? Whatever. They don't know what they've just bought and who they've just brought in and what those problems are. And to hear about them right out of the gate was probably very jarring for them, because they figured everything was hunky fucking dory.
And that's when I'm sure you guys remember this, because it is a critical Giant Bomb memory.
Yeah.
Is when somebody told me to just let the site die. Just stop working so hard.
And that person was me. I'm joking.
And they said, just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't be here.
Yeah. To what end then? Why am I even still here?
It was basically like, let it break, and stop working so hard. And I was like, that's not what I'm going to do. I have to leave. So like, I'm going to be real honest. There's a time to be even more honest. It was a very hard decision to make.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the time, when we finally decided to start Nextlander, I think Brad and I had talked and we were like, we're getting the fuck out of here. We weren't honestly sure exactly how it was all going to go.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we had talked, I had talked with Jeff so much about getting out of here. And I'm not a risk taker. I think none of us are really big risk takers. I had 2 kids by that point. And I was like, so we had talked about it. I'm pretty sure Brad, Jeff said he was going to stay. Brad, you were like, I'm out too.
Yeah.
But then Alex, you gave your notice.
Well,
and then, and I think Brad and I were like, oh shit. Like, And then by the time we were out is when, we all left. It was like another month of negotiations because we thought maybe we could fix it. Maybe if we just leveraged what we could do here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it started a lot of conversations, I'll say that, when we all gave notice, and then it was like, oh, wait, they're serious about this.
I don't think I've told this story. Look, we're a little far afield here.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. We're here. Now is the time to reminisce.
It's a funny story because I said, look, I'm fucking dead in the water, but here's what I want. I think I tried to pull the shit I pulled back in San Francisco, which was like, I'm going to make you this offer. And I said, I just want to do the shows. Like, I'm tired of dealing with the corporate bullshit. I'm tired of being locked to my computer to answer all of this weird shit. I'm tired of justifying my job. I'm tired of doing all of the big swing shit. I will do the shows. I will host this podcast. We were doing the hotspot at the time too. I will host these podcasts and I will do 3 streams a week. I will do the Beastcast. I will host the hotspot and I will do 3 streams a week. And pay me for that, and health insurance, and then I get to I will prep, I will do all my stuff, and that's it. Just pay me as talent and pay me that. And the email I got back was like, these were serious negotiations. It was something like they couldn't figure. Again, this is a spreadsheet thing. It was like, wait, so if you do this hour, and you're hosting this for 3 hours, and you're doing this for 3 hours, you're making $7.2 million a year. And I was like, okay.
I remember that.
Like, and my response was like, it was like, you're making $7.2 million a year because they were doing the hourly rate, right? If I paid you the salary for hosting these things. And I think I just responded back, I'm worth it. I think that was it. But that's how it worked, right? That was like, there was not a sense at the time of like, hey, this is the stuff we love doing, and getting wrapped up in all this other stuff is really what a fucking drag on this. And that's going back to like the shows, the people, that's the stuff. Yeah. That's the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of planning. Was. Yeah. Support us in the planning. Help us out. Like, get us in there. And then that wound up falling apart. But the thing that broke my heart was when some of the audience felt like we had left and abandoned Giant Bomb. And that was very hard for me. That was super tough.
I understand where that comes from. Like, I understand that, it felt very sudden, and it felt very much like, we were just like hitting the eject button while leaving some people or the site in the lurch or whatever. But yeah, I mean, look, to keep going back to that iceberg metaphor, like the thing you see is the tip of a much larger, much more layered thing.
Totally.
And for us, these were not decisions that were made capriciously or, without a great deal of forethought.
And conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And advance warning and
and negotiations and everything.
And please, literally, like, we want to make this work. What can we do?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier when I said, like, hey, maybe let's apply this societally, not just in the context of Giant Bomb, but like maybe show a little more grace to people who you see across the internet and only glimpse like a sliver of what their actual like day-to-day working lives are. It's like you don't know what anybody's going through at any given time. You don't know how big the iceberg is. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes that might have precipitated a decision like this.
It's probably bigger than you think.
You can't see what's chipping away at that iceberg underneath the surface,
And again, I want to stress, I'm not just talking about us. Like, let's all maybe try to abide by this a little better. I'm as guilty of it as anybody is. I guess it's human nature. But
yeah,
the thing I will say about you talking about risk aversion, the thing about being chronically being risk averse, which is a category in which I certainly include myself, is that you're only averse to the risk until the alternative, which is not taking the risk, is worse.
Right.
When you hit the tipping point where taking the risk is now more appealing than not doing so, it becomes a much easier decision.
Totally. And or sometimes that decision even gets made for you.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of felt like in my case, at some point the decision was made for me. If somebody's going to intimate that I'm going to let this thing I love suffer instead of just getting the support we need, like I'm not going to be there. And, you know, I think we are all, and the people that are out there all have our stories, and there are versions of stories that get out there. And there's very polite people who don't always share all the gory details of everything. We certainly have our own darker stories that we don't share out there. And I think it can be tough to be on the internet in those times.
Yeah.
And so if you're
I
writing
feel like
about
you're just sitting on your hands when, you know, someone is kind of running away with a narrative that they don't necessarily know very much about.
That's exactly right. And we, again, it was hard to leave and to not, we were pretty conscientious of making sure that we didn't say too much shit because we left people behind at Giant Bomb, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not going to burn down the site.
We don't want to.
We're choosing to leave. Some of the stuff that's being said out there is not the way that I remember it going down, or some of the portrayals out there is not how it goes. But like, they got to make it work there. We're going to go start our own thing.
Yeah.
And so,
and again, none of us left with the intention of starting our own thing. We just kind of left, and then after that, we were like, well, should we start our own thing?
Well, look, I got to be completely honest. There was definitely a lot of talk of like, we could start our own thing. So
Sure.
like, I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying like, as
it
far
was
as
a
like
fully
what
formed
this
idea.
is, yeah.
'Cause, like, there are so many meetings. Again, Brad, I feel like Jeff and I were like, we could probably just do our own thing. Like how much could one support in this environment? Because we saw other people doing it, right? Like we just weren't. And this is where a lot of the conversation and more leverage came back, pushing back against the big company, being like, what's your value add for supporting us?
Yeah. I'm going to be very blunt. I had done a mental calculation based on how much we were pulling in at Giant Bomb and what I realistically, I mean, it was a very ballpark number, but what I realistically thought we might be able to get on our own.
Totally.
Even if it was a pretty small fraction of that, it would still be enough to support. I mean, that's where the math gets hard, because then it's like, how many people do we bring? And, you know, how much extra revenue per head does that turn out to be? And, you know, like it starts getting stickier when you start tweaking variables and changing numbers of things. But like just on a broad level, I had a pretty good feeling that like even a relatively small fraction of what we were doing at this company, and again, we had pretty good insight at this point into how much we needed them because we had been doing our own production for over a year at this point. And in some of our cases, sitting in business meetings and dealing with podcasts, ad buys and all kinds of stuff. Like at some point it was like, you know, like I think that like blind risk and or the blind terror of risk, I should say.
Oh yeah.
Like the blind terror of taking a risk aside, like I think there's actually like a decent business case here. And it turns out that seems to have proven out.
Well, thanks to everybody who supported us, right? Like that's
Yes,
the thing.
100%.
Is like we did it when we were finally talking about Nextlander and like what we thought. And I had known the financials, and you guys knew them too from a lot of meetings with Giant Bomb. And it's exactly what you said is like, okay, if this percentage of people support us, I don't think the bigger audience maybe knows how much got shaved off from the income of Giant Bomb and disappeared out of the revenue pool for us. It was a significant amount. So when we were talking about, you know, I think maybe we were in double digits of like, that's our best case scenario of people supporting us that were at Giant Bomb, right? Like then we might be able to pull this off with 3 people, right? And you know, it'll be tough, it'll be lean, but like we could do this in the single digits if we just get like a certain percentage. We got such an outpouring that was amazing. But the thing that we talked about early on, and this I think rubs up against maybe where it sounds like from the public view, fandom and Giant Bomb are like, there are things we don't want to do. Like, how can we do this without having to compromise on our values? And, you know, I'm not saying it'll never happen at Nextlander, but like, you know, we kind of established that we don't necessarily want to do a lot of in-your-face sponsored content video-wise, right? Like we don't necessarily want to do, definitely not endemic at the time, but we were saying, but like, we're just not that comfortable doing big sponsored things. So like we wanted to do it mostly off of the Patreon, podcast ads, and God willing, someday some merch, right? Like, so, like some of that stuff. And
we were literally talking about merch before the tariff shit went fucking haywire. So,
and I really can't express to you that Patreon has made that possible. And this isn't a pandering ploy. This is really, just what happened.
No, very literally.
That's cold hard business. We would not be here without Patreon, not even close.
Yeah. And look, Patreon takes its cut, but it's not nearly the cut that Giant Bomb was taking.
No.
And we always knew that like a little smaller, like it's a shame we can't be bigger, but this is the right size for us right now. But we don't operate, and I've had conversations with people inside Giant Bomb and out. We don't operate on having to do 20% more every year.
Right.
And that's part of the things of the corporate structure that really chafed against some of Giant Bomb was, that's great. You guys did this. How are you doing more with the same next year? And it's like, dude, I'm fucking exhausted. We just got to December. You want my January list of not the same shows plus 20%.
Right.
You're not saying stop doing these. You're saying, how can you do this, but make it more? And we're idiots, but we can do shows and cover games. I'm not necessarily the best business person, so I don't know how to take that show and then turn it into magically just making 20% more. But that's the ask, right? And it wasn't like you're going to get 20% more people.
No.
And which is, that type of mentality, a corporation's just never satisfied.
No. And
I think will you know you're satisfied? I mentioned I actually answered this on the Discord. How do you know when you're satisfied? When you can pay your health insurance in the States, So yeah, long story short, long podcast already. We have some games to talk about.
We'll get there.
Shout out to the folks who made Giant Bomb what it is today. The whole train, the whole arc.
Past and present.
And especially people who are dealing with it currently, because I think you did an amazing job keeping that thing going, and some of that content is fantastic.
And
moving it forward, like not just keeping it going, but moving it forward,
making it your own.
And
that is actually the way to put it.
And under wildly inconsistent circumstances, because they started with Red Ventures, they have had initiatives started and stopped under there, and then they got sold to Fandom, and then things kept starting and stopping there, and it's like, it's very hard to build something when the rug keeps getting pulled out from under you. And
but they did it.
They did it. They did the absolute damn best they could.
Like there has been a real, there's been a real love out there for this era of Giant Bomb and the stuff they've been doing in the last, I don't know,
there were some dark times. Like Jeff getting fired and having to like move on and rebuild a personality based site after that is like, to make that your own.
That's what it is like, I mean, and people talk about Ship of Theseus all the time or whatever, maybe like a rock band is a better analogy, but like, that's the last like founding member of the thing being gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, Alex, help me out here. Name a band. Like I'm trying to think of a band that's like has
like
zero,
you replace all the parts,
0 remaining original members in it and still like tours.
It's very rare actually to find a band that is still going that has 0 original members. Usually there's like one propping it up, but it's like the one core creative who wrote all the songs is still there or whatever.
It's a very Dread Pirate Roberts situation.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean that it's all the more admirable that they have been able to make that thing their own in a situation like that.
And I know some people will attach to other things and then be like, well, that's not my era or that was my era, but they have their era.
That's the point.
That's great.
There's a wide variety of eras that you can lay claim to and say, well, that was mine. Well, that one was mine. Like it's sustained for so long that
it's cool.
We existed alongside huge tectonic shifts within games media and games in general.
And that place, again, Giant Bomb in particular, we didn't even talk about the GameSpot stuff, but there was a crossover there. What a talent generating pool.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really fantastically talented people. And I think that proves out in the people who have gone on to do other things, You've got Remap now with Patrick over there. And, before that, Austin over at Vice, but Austin has too many things to even name here going on. You have Jeff doing his own thing, Gersman doing his own thing. You have Danny still doing No Clip, right? And I'm going to pull Danny into some Giant Bomb because,
let's be fair. He was an unofficial member
of Giant Bomb. There are too many things to name, too many people to name who have gone off and just shown how Giant Bomb is about the people, is a personality-based site. And I'm not here to necessarily mourn what is happening to Giant Bomb. I'm here to celebrate the people that have made your favorite era of Giant Bomb.
I'll say it again. We made something real fucking cool. And the reason it was cool was because of both the people who made it and the people who were willing to be a part of it.
And if there's anything left, it is that all these corporations
can suck
be
eggs.
Paying for our ongoing therapy. As we all come back together to all relive all the stuff. How old were you when you started at Giant Bomb?
How old was I?
Yeah.
28.
Fucking A. Alex, when you came back to Screen, how old were you? You're a little younger than we are.
Yeah, I came back to Screen in 2010. I would have been 29.
Okay.
29.
Kids.
Yeah.
Young children.
I mean, again, I started at GameStop when I was 21.
Did you want to hear a number? That was almost 17 years ago.
I feel it. I feel it.
Giant Bomb can almost vote.
Almost. Don't let it vote.
No.
No, don't trust it. All right. Look, we do have some games. Thanks for indulging us in this very long story here. And not to get lost in the mix, obviously, a shout out to everybody from Polygon as well.
Yeah.
Who has their own stories, I'm sure.
Listen, games media is in a real place right now. And, I'm not going to go off on a big rant here because, again, I think we've already said some of this stuff before, but it's like, the talent drain, the brain drain is real. And a lot of people that are good at this line of work are going to have to go find work outside of this line of work. And the media space is going to be poorer for it.
That's become a genre of post that I've been seeing is people who already got out of games media saying like, hey, here's how to apply your skill set to other industries or other roles because you might need that. And like on the one hand, it's great that kind of support and mentorship is out there because
it's necessary.
If I were in that position, I would sure be freaking the fuck out about, holy shit, what now?
Yeah.
So it's great to think that, that's a pretty broadly applicable skill set between writing and video production and project management and all kinds of stuff. But so on the one hand, it's great that that sort of resource is out there. On the other hand, it's really sad that it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And look, as we know, some of these things are hard to do at scale. So even if you want like a super group to form or something like that,
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy. So support and follow the people that you want that are out there trying to continue doing that work and supporting them really is a gesture of we appreciate that work. We know we take it here as, again, very scary for us, and to have an outpouring of support was an amazing confidence boost for us to say I think we might be able to do this, and I think people want us to continue doing things. They might not always agree with how or what we're doing all the time, but we're very happy to be able to do it and continue whatever old school thing we started. Well, you guys before me, but in the early 2000s, it really makes me sentimental. Like that era, that
how can
early,
you not be?
Yeah,
it's scattering.
It's really weird to think that the first games that I got paid to review were on the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
Like that knowledge.
It's kind of hard to think about actually, in that oh God, I'm going to die.
Fucking lifetime ago.
No, I mean, it's just, that was a long time ago.
But if you look, I'm going to take a step back and appreciating that voice, that knowledge. And I think a lot of our audience is probably a little older and skews a little older. And that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that the audience is out there to support that kind of perspective on a game that comes out today when you have been doing this for that long. And I know I appreciate you guys and that. And and again, all the other people that have influenced and helped get Giant Bomb to where it was. You know, Jeff Gerstmann, Ryan Davis, Drew Scanlon, everybody there.
A lot of people along the way. Well, I was going to say a lot of people along the way the audience never heard about, but frankly, Giant Bomb was actually very good at getting
personality-based thing.
The people who were normally would have been behind the scenes people, like web developers and like, you know, I think like Melissa got on camera at some point, right? You know, like all the people who normally would have been doing background roles got out there, but like still all the people along the way. Too many to name. All the people you don't know about as well.
I'd be remiss to end this without even mentioning the people who probably don't get mentioned enough. The engineering teams that also were out there, including the Dave Snyders and the pack of geniuses they had. Really, legit. And not only on the engineering side, like just direction for me. Like Giant Bomb would not be what it was without them steering, and especially Dave's passion for Giant Bomb.
Engineering and design is the reason Giant Bomb existed. Like that platform, that the database and wiki platform,
and leadership,
and
you know?
like that was the basis on which the site was built. Like we added whatever flavor on top of it, but if it hadn't been for that, there would have been no site. And I'm not saying that in a philosophical way. I mean, like quite literally, the chain of events on the business side that led to it existing is because of that platform.
So yeah, let's we'll move on to our next section where we talk about the video games, but you know.
This is where our minds are at right now.
Yeah, like it's hard to say is this the last chapter or not because we don't know yet. You know, there's still a lot of fog happening. Maybe we'll know more in the coming weeks. I don't know. Best of luck to everybody out there, really.
And again,
and we'll see.
If this is the first time you were hearing about any of this stuff from us, please let us know how you found us. We need to know.
And if any of this makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if, you know, like look. A lot of us aren't super comfortable talking about some of the grittier details behind the scenes, and we don't do it, and we try to be very respectful. Sometimes it's helpful for other people to hear those stories, especially people who need to hear those stories. If people have questions or want to know more, I try to make myself pretty available. I'm not going to go into stuff that I think disrespects other people's privacy or
we're not going to air dirty laundry that isn't appropriate.
Or like isn't relevant all the time. But if people have questions and want to know more, like you can reach out to me. I will try to be as forthcoming as I can, especially if you're in a situation where you feel like something weird is going on, or you're like, I never understood this. Can you help me explain it to me? All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come back. We have plenty of video games to talk about, actually.
Yeah.
So we might condense maybe some of the emails or skip over the emails for this week. Hey, look, here's a great cue point. If you have emails that you want to send in to ask us any questions about that stuff, podcast@nextlander.com is a great place to send those questions. And if they're appropriate, we might answer them. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This week's show is brought to you by Factor, Alex, and Brad. We've had Factor before. I've had Factor in my fridge. I've had Factor on my... I sound like a Dr. Seuss song. I've eaten Factor. Everybody knows Factor is the nutritious 2-minute meal. You take it out of the thing. It's ready to go. Put it in your microwave. You eat. But did you know that I value my time?
No.
You wouldn't guess.
This is the first time hearing about this.
By the length of some of these podcasts, but I do, in fact, value my time.
Okay.
And I have had Factor in my fridge multiple times, and I will say, sometimes when I go to that fridge and I see that Factor, I know I'm going to get a percentage of my time back, and there's no greater gift on this green earth than my time. And
Can you make a faster meal than Factor?
I don't think I could make I mean, at that point, I'm just eating bread, which I'm not opposed to, but it is not a Factor meal.
Look, I mean, whatever gets you through. But
yeah.
I mean, my process is like stab the plastic with a fork 6 times, microwave for 2.5 minutes. That's about it.
And enjoy.
Yeah.
Factor says you can get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors, but I'll tell you what. It's my time. I'm going to do whatever I want. I don't have to go outside.
You want.
Dad, I could stay inside and play Hollow Knight all I want now. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. Perfect for any active lifestyle or Vinny's lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals, choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, guilt-free snacks, and desserts.
Well, quit burgling my time, Vinny, and just tell me how I can get in on these extremely fast meals.
I will tell you, Alex Navarro. You can get started at factormeals.com/Nextlander50 off. That's code Nextlander50 off, OFF, to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Nextlander50 off at factormeals.com/Nextlander50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Thanks, Factor. And we are back. Hubbub. I'm looking at my waveform here, and did my thing get louder? Look, I'm apologies if I sound weird on this show today.
Please tell us if Vinny's thing got louder.
Did my thing get louder? You know, you don't touch the dials, and then you're like, what's going on? The mic is always same distance from my mouth. It's just
many Americans after the age of 45, their thing gets louder.
Did my thing? If your thing stays loud for more than an hour,
you've got an enlarged channel strip. I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Thankfully, there's Celexa.
Great, Celexa.
I don't know. That was the first fake drug name I could think of.
Are you saying maybe I need to participate in a tech test?
You
like
sure.
that? Look, that works.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, we don't do those anymore.
Invite about 20,000 people to speak into your microphone concurrently.
That's right. Arc Raiders. Now,
Arc Raiders.
This was another bit of just, it couldn't have gone any other way, but Arc Raiders, a game that, Brad, you brought up eons ago, had a real look to it.
I want to say 2021 Game Awards is when that thing got announced. It's been a long time.
You've been a big, hey, we should keep an eye on this game.
And to be clear, it was 100%. Those big robots look cool.
Yep.
I think the graphic design and general aesthetic of it is really nice.
Yep.
And I really like that Robin song that was in the trailer. That's it.
And it's got that 60s, 70s vibes.
Yeah, right? it's like kind of old school sci-fi. And then again, the big robots look really cool. Fighting the big robots look really cool, to be clear.
Kind of one of the most important things.
Point is, it's a new developer at that time. They had no games ships. It's not like there was not some lineage or pedigree drawing me to it. It was just oh, that looks neat. I want to know more about that.
So here we were planning to do our Friday stream, and then you said, "Whoa. Oh, sorry, it was was it Friday? I think it was Friday. We said, whoa. I've got
Wednesday.
codes for Arc Raiders.
Yeah,
they
randomly.
end on Sunday. The thing ends on Sunday.
Yep.
And then the next thing was, I'm not going to be there because I've got to be called in for jury duty.
So sad to miss that stream.
Do you guys want? And we were like, we'll do it, but
we will maybe get to 60% of your enthusiasm for this, but we will get there.
I was pretty. I think that game's pretty cool, Brad.
It's fun. Yeah,
you wound up playing, so you can see what we played. But Brad, you wound up playing on your own.
I played some of it by myself, and then I grabbed a couple of friends and spent some real time playing 3-player in an actual party over the weekend. And I think that game is fucking amazing. Temper what I'm saying through the fact that I've only spent 2 hours with it or 3 or something. The game seems like it may have a significant amount of juice. I'm not the only one saying this, to be clear. There are a lot of people out there going holy shit, this is actually way more than just big robots and flashy, menu design or whatever. This game is actually pretty damn cool.
So for that imaginary person, or maybe very real person that Alex mentioned before, that just kind of wandered into our podcast, Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter with, I'm going to say, do you still feel like the technical side of this thing looks like it dropped out of the future, or are you saying the future has kind of caught up to where it initially showed in 4 years ago?
Just in terms of hey, this looks like a next generation, this looks like something you're not seeing in other games.
One of those this has an impossible look. Is it possible this game will look like this?
It's still up there.
Okay.
I will say the 2 people I was playing with it over the weekend have both worked on video games.
Okay.
Somewhat extensively, and both were just holy shit, repeatedly going, holy shit, how did they do that? Oh my God, this looks so good.
So at its core,
I'd say it's one of the best looking games I have seen. I would say that.
And runs seem to run well.
Runs super well. I meant to follow up on this. Forgot to look it up. One of the people I played it with said, there's a lot of flying enemies in this game, and they're all like kind of evolved designs of like real drones with actual rotors, like they're using normal air. It's not like they're using Star Wars repulsor lifts or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not anti-grav tech. It's like, hey, these drones have propellers just like real drones. Supposedly they are simulating all of the like flight mechanics of the robots, like physically. Like it's like actual simulated flight. So like if you shoot out an engine, they will fly.
It'll react appropriately.
They will fly in the way that a real drone would fly if you shot one of its rotors out.
Okay.
Like that kind of thing. So there's like a lot of tech in there. Like Embark Studio, the people who are making this they're in Sweden, and I think there's like quite a few former like DICE employees there and some of the other like very tech heavy studios. So like they do a lot of open source work for example as well. Like it's like a really like tech heavy studio full of people with like a lot of experience on that end. So I think the reason that it looks that good is that.
But aside from the technical stuff, what about this extraction shooter gives it the juice?
Yeah, I'm trying to find. The other thing I forgot to look up is, do you remember this game got reworked at some point?
I do, and I can't remember from what to what.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm trying to find what it was before they turned it into an extraction shooter, and I cannot find that at this point. But yes, now it's really weird to come in here after we said this exact same thing about Marathon. But it is on paper. It is an extraction shooter. Like it is by the numbers. It is pretty much that. Like
not class based.
No, it's much more gear focused.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of all the exact same pillars. It is full on. Like you've got a persistent inventory. You decide what you want to take in with you. Like get in. If you die, you lose everything. Yeah. Get out. It's very tense getting out. But then you take what you find.
Need my loot pocket. My safe pocket.
My understanding, I bought Escape from Tarkov a year or two ago and have been too afraid to play it. I mean, it's really more just not, haven't really had the time. We ran it on a Patreon poll once and did not get voted for, which was surprising to me because that game has a reputation for being like one of the most punishing things on the planet. Like Tarkov is really abusive, is my understanding of the player. I've seen a lot of comparisons to Tarkov about our creators. Like it seems like they're taking a fair number of ideas from there. Like, You've got a few safe pockets, quote unquote, in this game.
I did not know that was in Tarkov. That's a Tarkov.
Yeah, apparently that's a Tarkov idea. And there's some other stuff like that I'm not familiar with, but apparently they have taken some of those ideas. So it seems like it's going for that hardcore audience.
So that's you can put some loot that you have in your pocket, and then when you die, you keep that. It's not completely lost.
Yeah. You can retain a couple of the valuable things. I'm trying to like think how to put my finger on what is so cool about it. Like it's. Like there's an atmosphere and a vibe to being in that world that is really kind of singular. Like it's got an incredibly coherent identity to the feel of the whole thing. It's
gosh, I always forget his name. The Tales from the Loop is Stalinhog.
Stalinhog. Yeah.
Yes.
It's got that kind of like vibe-ish.
It's got Swedish big robots. That's what you're trying to determine. But like, there is an aesthetic that is like weirdly Nordic specific when it comes to this flavor of sci-fi.
Yeah, but like it's everything though. It's also like the sound design of the robots and the guns and like what the lighting looks like in the daytime and at night. What the like flares look like that shoot up in the sky. Like there's an incredible aesthetic to this thing.
Did you extract?
Yes.
Did you extract? Did you extract with purpose, or did you extract just to extract?
I was like, by with purpose, you mean like had stuff I wanted to get out?
Yeah, like it was time to go. Okay.
So I did like probably 3 runs by myself, and then we did 3 runs in teams or on a team. And like I would say like half those runs you had one of like quote unquote those moments, like one of those moments where some shit is just popping off and there's like a little narrative that spins out of what's happening emergently,
like you're pinned down in a building, or
like the first time I tried to extract solo, I got jumped at the elevator, and like the elevators might as well shoot a flare in the air when you go trigger one, because like klaxon starts going, light starts spinning. You have to wait for the doors to come down, and then even after you go in and trigger it, you have to wait for it to lower. I got jumped waiting for the elevator. Had this like tense firefight with this other person as the doors are coming down on the elevator. Got downed, but then robots jumped the guy who shot me before he'd come finish me off, take my stuff. I crawled into the elevator while he's like fighting with the robots, like ducking and weaving, trying not to die.
And it counted?
apparently if you're not out when you go down, like I just was hanging out on the elevator and he never got a chance to finish me off and take my stuff. So I full on extracted and kept everything.
Hell yeah.
I was still technically alive on the elevator and he was like desperately trying not to die himself. The robots are really punishing in this. Like,
can you extract again from the same elevator, or is it single use?
I think that will come back up after some amount of time passes. It's funny, like the elevator is what they tutorialize you about as far as here's how you extract, but like immediately the second map in this tech test, it's not an elevator, it's a metro station.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't see any indication of that before I got there, but I needed to extract like kind of desperately. And I was like, where the fuck is the elevator? There's no elevator icon on this map. And I had to just figure out it's a metro station here. And also, the icon for the metro station is not even how you get in. That's just physically where it's located underground on the map.
Oh, you have to find the entrance?
You have to find entrances that are kind of adjacent to that to actually get in there. And those close after some amount of time. Because every run is timed. I think it's like, typically you have like 30 minutes on the map. And then you have to get out.
Portals will close down throughout.
Yeah, so we did a night raid, which, as far as I can tell, the only difference is it's a night. Like I don't think the raid part is like a MMO raid or anything, because maybe the robots are harder at night as well. I don't know.
I mean, doing it in the dark is punishing in its own way because that lighting actually really does matter when you're searching around for stuff.
Yeah. Did you guys do a night one? Or
we didn't get to one, but like we did one that was in a fairly dark facility, and I remember having a hard time looking around like without like a light source.
And as an extraction game, I would say most of our fighting was against robots, but we definitely ran into other players. And like having your flashlight out at night is a real rough thing, because they're going to see you across the map and probably come find you and kill you.
I wonder if there are there like night vision options you can lock yourself into?
There have to be. So like there are a lot of interesting items that I've come across in this game that feel pretty unique. Like there's I think it's called a door jammer or something along those lines, where you can open and close doors in this game, but if you bring this item in with you, it's some kind of like, I don't know, ratchet gadget or something that you can slap on a door and it will like lock the door.
Oh, that's good.
So other players can't follow you. You can turn around and burn this item on a door to stop them from following you.
I wonder, does it last indefinitely? Do you know?
I think they can still. I'm guessing. I didn't actually get a chance to use it. I'm guessing they can pry the door open. There's because you're searching.
It shows up on your side.
You're searching container. Yeah, you're searching containers constantly in this game, and some containers have to be like quote unquote pried open, and that causes a ruckus, which
makes
might alert,
a lot of noise.
Yeah, it makes a lot of noise. Might alert robots or whatever. I'm guessing you can sort of like pry the door open when people use one of these, but that's still a risk. I found an item. This was the craziest one. We got in a big firefight in this like greenhouse with people outside of the greenhouse. One of our people got downed, ran over to the other entrance to try to get out. The other person got down, so I was trapped in there by myself trying to get one of my friends up. A drone flew in the top of the greenhouse while I'm pinned down in here with people outside trying to kill me. I had picked up this item the naming was something along the lines of like optical camouflage or something like that, but it wasn't like, I thought it was going to turn me invisible is the point. And this drone is right overhead about to spot me. And I'm like, I can't get you up. I'm about to die. This drone's going to kill me. There's people outside. I pulled that item out and it was this little like a wand antenna looking thing and used it. I was like, I'm going to use my camo so this robot doesn't see me so I can come get you up. I did not turn invisible and I started freaking out. Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this robot is going to kill me. Why is this not working? And then the robot, like, this game has really good visual language. The robot basically went to kind of like not searching for me mode again. Because a lot of the robots have like a blue light as kind of a searchlight thing that turns yellow when they're alerted and red when they are pursuing. And the light turned blue again. And I was like, what's going on here? And I think that item is more of like a jammer than like an optical camo.
Oh, for the robots.
But it was just this crazy moment of, I don't know how this thing works, but I'm so desperate. I'm just going to have to try it anyway.
Yeah.
Just hitting every button you can think of.
And all three of us on the team were like, wait, what's going on? Is it working? I think it's working. Like, because the robot's disengaging, And it was just like this really hectic moment of.
Did you get them up?
I did not.
Oh,
the people came in, finished me off before I could do it. But like, the game just lends itself to a lot of really tense moments like that of like very desperately making use of whatever your tool set is at the moment.
The thing that I really liked about it, aside from what felt like a fairly well realized immersive atmosphere, like this world feels like it's thought out, right? Like it feels interesting to be in it. Some of the buildings seem like interesting places to have your combat encounters because there's a lot of verticality to it.
Oh, 100%.
But they're dense with stuff. It's not like an empty warehouse building where somebody's going to walk in the door, and it's not like a Fortnite building, and it's not like it's just its own. It looks like office building almost. Sometimes
we got into a purely vertical firefight at one point. There was a big building on the it's on the spaceport map if people tried that one, and it was just like a 3 or 4 story tall vertical like basically an elevator shaft with no elevator in it. But there was a zip line in there, and as we were filing in the bottom, or no, actually we filed in the middle and fell down to the bottom where there was no exit. Turned out there was somebody at the top.
Oh,
there was somebody at the top looking down at us and started shooting at us and started chucking grenades down there. And we were like trying not to die down there, like going up the zip line, trying to like shoot them as we were going up the, you know what I mean? Like it was purely like vertical encounter that was just like, just so many moments that stood out even in like 90 minutes of playing that game that felt super memorable.
Some of the edge of this comes off, but Alex, I feel like you and I, as you play more, some of the edge comes off, really had the tension was just really good in searching those buildings. Like sounds were happening and stuff.
It's very Battlegrounds. Like I would to me, I mean, again, I don't play a lot of extraction shooters, but that's what the tension felt most analogous to was this. There is a pressure to keep moving. There is a pressure to keep hunting, but there is always something over your shoulder that you need to be aware of. And then again, obviously you have the robot element where it's like, it's not players. It's literally the environment itself is also trying to kill you. But the dynamics of all that stuff and how it all blends together, it makes for a pretty potent mix.
Did you guys see the big it's not exactly a spider bot, like I don't know what you call it. I think the name of the robot is a Bastion. It's like roughly Ed 209 size.
No.
You didn't see that?
We didn't get to those. Like we did not have a lot of successful runs, to be fair.
Okay, so there are some relatively big robots out there, the like super like Godzilla sized robots. I didn't see anything like that. Although at the end of one of our runs, it was the night run, something very big landed out there. Mm-hmm. About 5 minutes before the end of the timer. And like, we never saw what it was, but the dust cloud like covered the whole map. Like something very big landed from the sky and like the dust like blew up over the whole map. And we were like, what the fuck is going on? We got to get out of here.
You think that's some kind of extermination thing if you miss the last elevator out that just wipes out the map?
It could be that. It could be a night raid
the
thing.
Circle closed, you know?
It could be something like that.
Like that's sort of like your 5-minute warning kind of thing.
Well, that's possible. It could just be a random encounter that like, one of my friends was saying they had read like some of these giant robots are going to take like multiple teams pulling together to kill them, even though technically all the teams are pitted against each other, but you might have to like temporarily.
And they'll drop loot?
Probably.
I assume.
Yeah. I don't know if any of that's, I didn't see any like Twitter videos of that sort of thing out there. So I'm guessing that was just not in the test.
Probably not. I will say when we were doing our last run, we got to a point, so there's proximity check in this game too.
Yes.
So when you're chatting with your friends, like you kind of actually have to use hushed tones if you want to not make a lot of noise. And Vinny and I were getting very close to extracting, and we were like literally waiting for the elevator, and then I hear some chatter coming. And I swear in the moment, I thought I heard one of them say, I think there's people here, maybe we should talk to them. But before I couldn't be certain that's what I heard, and it may not have actually been. So as soon as I saw them cross my field, I was like between two like storage containers. I just start fucking dumping. I was like, no, man, you hear them coming and you start dumping. I didn't win that encounter. Maybe if I had listened to them, we could have all made it out. But that tension and that ability to have that tension, I think is really interesting.
I think, like, again, some of this kind of wears off as you play it more, but there's something about the atmosphere in that game that made me want to play it not like a video game quite yet. And like walk around slowly, like flashlight, check corners, do the things.
Oh, you want to play it like a video game on stage demonstration where everyone is walking at normal speed, really tilting the camera in the slowest way.
That's right.
My experience on that night map is that you have to play it that way. Like you do have, like it's that brutal. Like the robots are so punishing, to say nothing of players finding you, that you have to be that careful and really feel like you're doing a stage demo.
Yeah. Because eventually, like even a PUBG, and especially when we went back, Brad, to play PUBG, like eventually you're just running into a building, jumping through a window, grabbing as much as you can, running to the net. And like this place is, but when we played Alex, it still had that novelty factor and the unknown factor where you're kind of creeping along, be like, hey, where you going? Where you going? Be like, I'm just going to check this other room. Like, let's go slowly, unlock this door. I'm unlocking a door. But it's I think it's a credit to the atmosphere they're building in that, where it feels like the things in this world have some consequence and weight to it. So it was cool. Yeah. I enjoyed we did not play a ton of it, but I'm excited to see where it goes. I'll snap judgment because we just played Marathon. It's different. It's a different game, but I think I dig what was happening in Arc Raiders more than Marathon.
I feel that way too.
Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. It was Sunday afternoon when I got into it with friends, and so the tech test was ending that night.
Mm-hmm.
If it hadn't been for that, like knowing that the progress was all a wash, I might have sat there for the rest of the day and night playing the game. Like, it was definitely one of those moments of, oh my God, this game is for real.
Yeah.
This is all I want to play right now. But
it's at the very least, it has a vision. And I think that, and it's communicated pretty well. Because some cinematics in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a really dumb looking character if you want.
Like, I don't want to compare it directly to Helldivers, but it was a pretty similar feeling as playing Helldivers 2 of like, oh wow, this game's got something going on that I have not quite seen before exactly in this mix.
When are you going to see it again?
I don't know. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. I keep seeing all this speculation from people that it might be like really close to release, but I think that's just baseless speculation or perhaps wishful thinking. I don't know where. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to like stealth launch at Summer Game Fest or whatever. Like, I mean,
it's not out of the realm possibility.
I mean, they did say this year, so I hope it's close. I badly want to play more of this game. And I want to like get invested in my character and my account and like play it with progress that's going to stick. That's the other thing I'll say for it is, especially as somebody who's been playing a lot of Fortnite lately, which we'll get to. Like, this game as a live service game, just on the level of its front end, like, what a live service front end looks like these days. Your character's in the middle.
Sure do.
Tabs are at the top, like dailies are on the sides. Here's where you invite your party. I think that game's interface is just extremely legible and approachable in a way that something like a Fortnite is not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of that is down to graphic design and just like really nicely designed menus and stuff, but also the way it directs you to the kind of vendors. Oh, that was my understanding is like the vendors who you do quests for to unlock more stuff they can sell you type thing. Apparently that loop is like straight out of Tarkov as well.
I don't think I engaged with the vendor
really?
loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like shockingly easy to just look at and get,
Okay.
again, when some of these other live service games have been out there for years and now have years of cruft built up on them. So of course they're busy and hard to parse, but this game just feels really clean. It feels like it directs you to what the quests are. Like, it makes it really clear what the vendors are going to give you and what the upgrade loop is. And like, the skill tree is extremely easy to read. Like, the whole progression mechanics and loop feel like something anybody could get into without like having to go read a guide or watch a YouTube video or something. So,
Arc Raiders.
Please come out soon.
TBD on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox, at least according to the data Internet Games Database has. We'll see where that thing winds up and when that thing winds up coming out. Real looker, though. All right. Kind of looking at our list here. Let's talk a little bit about Revenge of the Savage Planet. Another game that released, according to my watch, at the time of this recording, tomorrow. That is, I think it's in the early access or advanced access stage at this point. Revenge of the Savage Planet. We've talked about this before. Brad, I think you played this at a preview event.
Yeah, GDC.
Alex is not allowed to play this game ever.
Yeah.
Because of his history with was it Savage the Savage Planet was the original
Journey
Google?
to the Savage Planet was the first game.
Was the Stadia exclusive, which wound up making its way out. Interesting times.
Yeah.
Go look it up. But this, I gotta say, I really got a kick out of the presentation in this game. I'm a fan of Looney Tunes. I think the run animation is amazing. And the animations in general are really fun.
Like, even so I've played, like, on account of being in a courthouse for most of the last 4 days, 3 days, whatever. Like, I played like 10 minutes of this just to be very upfront. I think the melee attack is also kind of hilarious because it's just like a slap back and forth.
Has got some Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote vibes to the whole thing.
Also, like, FMV intro.
Yep.
They murder a cat. Like, they just
I don't know if the cat was real.
They just graphically murder a cat in that intro.
It's they demolecularize that game. So there's a lot of FMV in that game. Apparently there was a lot in the original as well. I did not play the original. This is also, should probably be stated, third person.
Yeah.
So
first game was first person and like I think I said this before, like it had a little bit of a Metroid Prime vibe and how much you were scanning things in the environment in the first game, and they still have that here, but it's just not first person anymore.
So what is this game? Is it a resource gatherer, build stuff? So Will and I played this together co-op, and we gathered a lot of resources. We built out some of our base. We made it to another planet where I think we had to gather more resources and build things out. But it's not an Astroneer. It is not a factory game like a Satisfactory.
Yeah. It's not a Minecraft.
It's not a Minecraft. There's a decent amount of combat.
Yeah. It's more of like a kind of, it's like a scripted, designed narrative upgrade game, I guess I would say. Like all the upgrades are like doled out as the story dictates, right? It's like,
or like an Alvania at the end.
Yeah, like I think actually I kind of remember the first game also feeling a little bit like a Metroid in the sense that you're constantly going out around the environment, seeing places you can't get to until you get the right upgrade, and then later you get the upgrade and go there, you know?
Yeah, so we hit some combat encounters that then got us the resources that then got us the next thing to get to the next resource, and the whole time there's a pace. It really is moving you along, and it was a lot of fun to play with Will and another player. It felt like it was designed from the ground up to support that. The only thing that was maybe a little bit disappointing in that experience was when we got to separate planets, you can't split up. And again, it should be, unfortunately, but this is the way it is. We were not in the same room together, so we're not playing co-op split screen. But what wound up happening is it would warp Will in if I tried to go to the other planet.
Bummer. I mean,
and if I died, it would basically say like, "Hey, you can't leave your base until the other player warps in, or you warp over to." I
mean, are there cases where like you need ingredients from one planet to build something on another planet?
Unclear. We kind of stopped pretty close to where we got to that other planet. We just kind of explored for a bit, so we didn't necessarily get any back and forth. But yeah, you know, it's more of a conceptual thing that's kind of cool. Like you could be on other planets at the same time. That might just be too hard. Technically, I don't know. The game seemed to run okay. We were playing on it's PS5.
It's locked to 30 frames per second on the PS5 Pro, though, which I hope is going to change.
There's a lot of goop
at some point.
Very colorful.
I'm guessing they just couldn't get it together for launch, I hope. But like specifically on the Pro, like it's one thing on the base consoles, but like have to not have a higher frame rate option on a $700 here's the high frame rate console kind of disappointing to me.
I just think the animation in that is so fun, and the FMV was unexpected, maybe because I didn't play the original, but some real goofy stuff going on in that game with their worlds and their animations, and I enjoyed it. I really want to play with my kids.
It seems neat. It reviewed well too.
Yeah. Okay. And no longer locked to Stadia, which, freedom to come out and join the rest of the console.
It seems like you can only buy this game with the first game on Steam.
I think, I don't know if that's going to change at the release date because they call them pre-purchase bundles. And I think they're advertising those as such.
Also like it seems like you're actually just getting the first game more or less for free looking at the price on other platforms.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're paying extra or something. It's more like, hey, here's the first game as a bonus if you buy it before launch.
I think this game is $50. That's what it is on the consoles. And on Steam, it's less than that with the pre-purchase bundles they're putting together. But also you're getting Journey to the Savage Planet as well. Neat. I can't wait to jump into it with the kids again. It's only 2-player co-op. So
really?
I think that's right.
Huh, okay.
Oh, wait, I should double check then because I thought you were just going to be like, on that. I'm pretty sure it was only 2-player.
I don't know. I only got to play it solo at that event.
When I went to go start the save with Will, it was only like one controller, empty controller to join. The other thing I'm not 100% sure about is it a co-op only save and how that stuff works? Because it seemed like we started a game together.
There's a lot of animated GIFs on the Steam page. Somebody definitely had fun animating this thing.
It looks so fun, like the style of that. Oh man, you're right, Brad. They really need to list the players
Yes,
for these things.
please, Steam in the right hand sidebar list of supported features on Steam option. I mean, probably in their back end that would not be the cleanest solution to have to split out number of players, but I really wish it listed number of players on that sidebar.
I'm pretty sure it's 2-player. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. But it is split screen. You can do split screen co-op, but I'm going to assume that's 2-player as well.
Well, you guys have
fun. You'll continue to.
I recuse myself.
Very good, very good.
That guy made the best Far Cry.
He doesn't care. Alex doesn't care.
I recuse myself.
Some beefs just are too big for this planet. All right. He's just smiling and nodding.
I'm not even beefing. I'm just saying I don't want it. I don't feel the need to get out of pocket with it, you know?
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. So wait, that's Revenge of the Savage Planet. That's Arc Raiders. I think we're into not new stuff, but stuff we've been continuing on. Alex, have you played more Skin Deep?
Yeah, I got a little bit past where you left off when we streamed it.
How'd you make out?
Did you guys stream?
Yeah, we streamed some of it.
Okay, right.
We streamed the worst possible run I could think up for Skin Deep.
So I did die a couple of times on that mission, though seeing you, Mr. Magoo, your way through a lot of that level gave me some ideas to start with at the very least.
Right.
Which level is it?
It's the first one after the credits.
Oh, it's the one with the FTL drive room.
Yes.
That sounds right. And
yes,
then the library
big observatory.
I've also played more of this game. That's the library is the level after this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I did that one too.
That's the first level that gets really hard. I was shocked. Like,
well, I don't want to make any assumptions. I just assumed I was playing extremely poorly, but
no,
I did not start with like 7
peppers. It could be a little
peppers.
column A, a little column B, you know?
I think that game might just be more demanding than I expected until you start getting into it. Like,
yeah, I don't think I think I had cheated myself out of some of how the systems work by just hitting everybody with pepper early on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is no pepper on that level, right?
None. Yeah. There is deodorant, which you can set on fire, but there is no pepper.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a way on that level to produce fire or a spark, though, to blow up the deodorant.
The conduits will spark if they hit a wall.
The conduits will, and if you can get a swordfish to land in the right spot and blow up, sometimes that will do it.
I kind of wondered if like metal striking metal would be enough to produce a spark. I mean, of course it does in this game because like everything is simulated, right?
Yeah.
My bigger problem was like I think from what I wound up getting the gun after. That's where you get the pistol after, but I didn't wind up using it. But for that level, stabbing people with the swordfish sword, it ain't gonna do it.
No, like ain't enough.
Not enough.
It takes 2 of them to even throw them and kill somebody. Like if you get 2 successive headshots throwing them at somebody, that's enough to kill them so far. If I found.
I think my takeaway from that level was very much like, okay, yes, it is more demanding, but it's the game basically saying like whatever you were relying on in those tutorial levels, you need to learn to branch out, and I think that's very much the case.
The game does not give a fuck, and the moment that I realized that for sure is that's the first level where they give you, I think it's called the duper, which just allows you to dupe items. It's only got 2 charges, so once you pick one up, you can only dupe 2 items and it stops working.
But you can also dupe the dupers.
No, but can you dupe the duper? I thought you couldn't dupe a duper.
Oh, maybe you're right.
You can't. You may not be able to dupe a duper, but you can dupe a cat key.
Oh, you can?
Because when I found a cat key, I was like, can I just dupe this and finish the level? And I totally did.
Oh, that's very
literally got 1 key and just made 2 more keys out of it, and then I was done. Except
that's.
But I mean, that's what the game rewards, that kind of thing constantly.
Yes.
It's like the game's Skin Deep's pretty awesome, and that's
I
also
just feel like an idiot now. Yes, of course, that's why all those dupers are there.
I mean, I felt a little bad about it because I felt like I was just circumventing a lot of the mechanics in that level, but that's also the first level, I think, where they introduce the pirate dropship coming in, and you have to use that to leave thing. Do you have to use that?
Yes, you do.
Right? Okay.
You do. That is your exit.
Okay. Because prior to that, they just kind of just let you exit the level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this case, like they flooded the level with more enemies, and I had like nothing left to fight them with, and it was very difficult.
Well, they do give you those grenades when like they put you into the jump ship. Like there's like grenades and some other like assorted explosion instruments they give you.
That's right. I forgot that you could go in there and get stuff out of the dropship until after I had already gotten out of that level.
And if I'm remembering correctly, I sure did dupe a few of those grenades to get my way out of there.
I definitely use those to perfection
Mhm.
and just waltz out of
Every
there
single
first
time.
try. Every time.
Like stupid immersive sim is an idea with serious legs, you know, or like not stupid, but like kind of like slapstick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slapstick, but still systems heavy.
Yeah.
You know? I need to learn those systems. I need to be better at Skin Deep because I like the atmosphere there. Skin Deep, $20, still out there. It's Blendo's Skin Deep.
Honestly, one of my favorite things so far this year.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Definitively.
Ooh. I have continuing.
You have continuing.
I have continuing.
What have you continuing?
I have continuing one of my favorite things this year, which is Clair Obscura Expedition 33. I will continue to say that is maybe one of the best RPGs, if not maybe one of my favorite games so far this year. And maybe one of the best RPGs I've played in a while. It's great. And no notes.
No notes.
I don't know.
There's extensive notes on last week's show, you talking about it.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm still in Act 1. I didn't get a chance to get too much further in it because I am kind of doing a little bit of exploring. I hit a big town or bigger town. And I've been kind of soaking that one in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really like those characters in that game a lot. But I don't know how to pull myself away from Hollow Knight. I've become a Hollow Knight junkie.
Did you do the quick look with me for that game?
I don't know.
I know I did it.
I don't know. That game's really good.
And I feel like at the time, you and I were like, yeah, this seems pretty good, but neither of us were like that enthusiastic about it. It's amazing this many years later, suddenly it hit the right time finally for you.
I'm an idiot for that game now.
Yes, it was both of you that did the quick look.
I had like 4 hours in when I had picked this up again. I talked about last week. My son was playing it, and I was watching him being like, I really want to play this game. Or you know that feeling of like this must be what it's like when our audience watches us and be like, just give me the control. I could do this. I think I could beat this boss.
I mean, there's more cussing involved, but yeah,
just slightly. And so like I now into it. I've got a lot of charms in that game. I don't know, nearly 27 hours in. I really like that game, and every time I'm like, I should put this down. I should go play Clair Obscur or something else. I'm like, right after this, I just gotta get back. I just gotta get myself back over here. I just gotta do this thing, and it winds up being a big thing. I'm hoping, professionally, I am hoping that this just lines up with Silk Song in a way that's like, oh, okay, good. Yes. No, of course, I've played Hollow Knight. I know what I'm talking about. Yes, bring the Silk Song. Yes, a game I have been waiting for as many years as everybody else, of course, after my love affair with Hollow Knight ended in 2017, I think, when that game came out or thereabouts. So it's just so cool. It's just such a cool, I'm just enjoying it a lot. And it's one of those games where I think after I finish it, I'm just going to spend, like I did with Dark Souls and Demon's Souls and Elden Ring, then I'll go watch some like 47-hour lore video on Hollow Knight. I hope there's somebody good out there who has made them, because it is one of those games.
How have you found the voices?
Silly? I don't know.
Yeah, like they seem like they're going out of their way to be stupid.
Yeah.
Like intentionally so.
Yes.
Okay.
Some are scarier. There's some areas that are like a little bit rougher, but so my son, like I said, my son is playing. He has a friend in school who is like also who turned him onto it, who is like a Hollow Knight fanatic. But what I realized is like I don't play games like this, and if people do, it's just a little alien to me. Have watched while they're playing a game, are just absorbing tons of information about Hollow Knight online, right? Like know every secret tip, streamer, have watched all this stuff. And so when I was talking to my son about it, I'm like, are you worried that you're getting spoiled before you get, because he knows like all this stuff that's going to happen, right? Like you don't want to like experience that new item. He's like, nah, I don't know. Like, I'm like, how does your friend know? He's like, oh, we watched a video about it. And like, the friend is like at the point where he's just doing completion runs, he's probably like played the game a bunch. I did never really, that wasn't ever my style to like absorb all the information around it. And I'm not being precious about spoilers here. I will in other places, but I like sometimes in a game like a Metroidvania or something like that, getting that new item is kind of fun to me. Like being like, oh man, I can do this now. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I cannot imagine playing a game for the first time and not just playing the game on its own terms without taking a bunch of stuff in with me. But I mean, the way kids engage with games has gotten very different, I guess.
It's super, or people, I don't know, like it might be audience members. And, I always think about that study of, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but I just remember it in my head saying that like people who have things spoiled might enjoy them more. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, there have been other studies that said the opposite. So I think it's one of those that like people who want that to be the case will seize on that result and parrot it endlessly, but other people will,
So I have found that like it's just cool when I realized that this new ability is the way it is, and I stumbled across it. Like the discovery in those kind of games can be very fun to a point. If I'm trying to do something, I will absolutely use a guide and have no shame about it. If like I cannot find this thing, I'm stuck. I'm at the point in my life where I'm not. And I don't mean this to mean anybody who does this regularly, but I'm not 8 years old with a summer ahead of me to just play Hollow Knight, right? I'm in my late 40s and have other shit to do. Ain't got time to search for 4 hours for this one thing. Like I will search for a half hour and then be like, you just gotta let me know what this is. Those days are just long behind me. Maybe in retirement. Oh man, I'm still looking for this last charm. You remember those days when you just had a game from the summer?
Totally.
Oh,
I had dozens of them over the years.
Like I go back and look at my old cartridges, dumping all those saves. It's like I've got 3 files on my Final Fantasy 3 cartridge, and it's like 66 hours, 36 hours, 20 something. I was like, what?
Yeah, and you could just look for a thing for months. Yeah, if you want. Yeah. And maybe you got lucky and that Nintendo Power will come out and there'll be a guide in there. You never know. Anyway, Hollow Knight's freaking rad. All right. Looking at our list here. Before we get to Fortnite, one more thing. Alex and I finished up, and Abby finished up Lost Records, A Bloom and Rage.
Did you open the package?
Yes.
We did.
What was in the package?
It was, well, I don't want to spoil. I am going to be precious about spoilers here, but I will say it is pretty much exactly what you would have expected. I think Alex
it was pretty
called
predictable.
Pretty early on.
Maybe a little more kitted out than I would have guessed, but still just like it's what the game really feels like it's building toward.
So without getting too into the details of this, you could go watch our stream if you want. Especially if you just want to watch if you just want to catch up on the last one. My thoughts. I don't think it hits. No. I think it kind of misses. And I think it kind of misses because it either doesn't go supernatural enough, or the characters are not reacting in normal ways enough. And so if it had done either of those, where it's like, oh man, it's just full supernatural, then I think I would have been with it. But for the mundane stuff, the characters seem to turn into cartoons at some point a bit for me.
And it just gets worse. And I think that there is a certain amount of supernatural hand waving they are doing to explain some of that away, but the game never really even, it indicates it in very minor ways. So it just kind of feels like characters start acting like fucking weirdos out of nowhere.
But the characters aren't react. So some supernatural stuff definitely happens. And the characters are not freaking out nearly enough about these things.
Not
they freak
in ways
out
that make a lot of sense.
But so Brad, I'll ask you this, and I'm not going to spoil the thing, but if Alex were to suddenly just explode, and this is not something that happens today, just explode.
Bodily?
Yeah. But through laser, like electricity coming out of him, right? And just exploded.
I was picturing a shower of blood and organs.
No, not from like some kind of like cages. He ingested some kind of bomb or ate too many Alka-Seltzers. Like lasers and stuff just came out of him and exploded. Would you sit there and just be more sad that Alex is no longer with us, or would you be like, what the fuck just happened?
I would probably be fixated on the laser beams.
Yeah. Right. You might be like,
personally,
okay, look, I'm very sad. I think Alex is dead, but seriously,
or is he dead for that matter? It's like, did he just achieve a higher plane of existence. What are we doing?
So I think that's where I wound up with some of the end of that game. I'll be like, okay, look, yes, we're all very sad that some stuff happened here, and there are a lot of choices and twisting paths that got you there. But we should really have a conversation about how we got here.
Yeah.
Okay? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't want to be too dismissive because I think there's a couple of things I could have seen this game doing better and me actually liking it, but I really do feel like it's very much they went in with a vibe and they kept searching for a story that matched that vibe, and they just didn't land on one that worked.
Yeah, and yeah, I will always appreciate what they're trying to do in those types of games, and we'll look forward to the next one. Mm-hmm. This one did not hit. I just think throughout a lot of that game, I was unclear if the supernatural stuff was metaphorical or not. And when you cross the line to it being like, I'm pretty sure this is not metaphorical anymore. This is just some real supernatural stuff happening. When the characters didn't really acknowledge it in the way, because it's like I don't know, what do they say in wrestling? You're not no sell or whatever. They're like,
yeah, they're no selling it totally.
And I was like, oh, it must just be metaphor. Maybe it's just puberty. maybe Alex exploding with lasers is just him going through puberty.
But then there's also a character there that didn't see any of the like potentially metaphorical stuff before, and then she sure sees like she saw it and she is freaking the fuck out about it.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, some of that stuff, but they're fun, and I really enjoyed playing with Abby and Alex, and like those games in that group setting.
Yeah.
For me, those are sometimes my favorite ways to play. I'm not sure I would have made it all the way through without that group setting. But yeah, I look forward to more of them. Like,
does it seem like they're gonna? I mean, this is literally the new Life is Strange, right?
Well,
except one that they own, presumably.
Yeah. So it's complicated. There's a scene that happens right before the credits that leads you to think that they are definitely planning on a sequel for this thing. And then there's a scene that comes after the credits that maybe makes you think that somewhere between the first half and the second half coming out, that became less certain. So they had to tack on another post-credit scene that maybe doesn't actually satisfy anything, but maybe is more of like well, actually, here's what maybe happened. Okay, bye.
A little more like, could there be closure, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Life is Strange is not anthologized, right? It's like the same as like Max and the same characters all the time, right? Or does it?
No, because the second season of Life is Strange was totally not that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They went back, they revisited it, and then there was a DLC, but yeah.
Okay.
Which I personally think is probably the better way to go.
Yeah, 100%.
If there was like a Lost Records, like the Meteor incident with different characters, could be interesting. But yeah, like slice of life games. I enjoyed making my way through them. This one I don't think had hit, but I was entertained.
I wanted to like it a lot more than I did.
Yeah. All right, Brad, you gotta tell me how you wound up playing a bunch more Fortnite.
I'll just cut to the chase. Number one, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
Who does not value my own time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Number two, Fortnite's annual Star Wars season has begun.
Oh.
And this time, the final reward on the battle pass is everybody's favorite cackling evil space wizard.
Wait, he's back? I thought
none other. Well, look, Fortnite is the absolute last thing on the planet that's going to respect any kind of chronology or
No,
narrative.
I mean in Fortnite. Is this the first time?
Oh, you mean as like a skin, as a model?
You're talking about the Emperor, right? Emperor Palpatine?
Yes, I am talking about the Emperor.
Yeah,
right?
somehow he returned.
I thought it was the first time.
I could be wrong. Maybe I could be thinking of some other place.
Oh, they've done other Star Wars things, I think, before. But I don't know that Palpatine was ever available.
Absolutely. Like when we played it with Will a few weeks ago on stream, I was very jealous of his Anakin.
I am always jealous of his Anakin.
I mean, yes, look.
I think I'm thinking of... Sorry.
You're thinking
one
of
Battlefront? Battlefront game.
Yeah, he's absolutely one of the hero characters in Battlefront.
And him cackling and running around.
Yeah.
You'd think I might have gotten my fill of playing Battlefront already.
Uh-huh.
I just can't resist. Part of it was doing that stream and just thinking, man, I really wish I had a stupid, hard to get model in this game.
So what do you have to do?
For the once a year that we're going to play Fortnite, I really wish I just had my one character who I love deeply, as I love Emperor Palpatine.
Of course.
Like he's like low key, maybe my favorite Star Wars character because he's just so fucking stupid. And
he's the end of the battle pass?
He is. You have to max out the battle pass to get him. That's the answer.
But Vinny,
you have to hit level 50.
Can I just give you some V-Bucks?
But no,
it is a lot.
It's worth the effort. I'm telling you, it is worth the effort because at the end of that battle pass, you will not only have an Emperor Palpatine.
Yes.
You will have an Emperor Palpatine that is holding a machine gun.
That's right. That's right. And if I put the extra work in and get to level like 62 or something, I can have Republic era Chancellor Palpatine in the red robes as well.
It's just an old British guy with a fucking machine gun.
Well, no, actually, it's the same shriveled prune guy, just with a different colored robe. Because they can actually do the work to. This is post face melting or whatever. I forgot to mention. I feel like this strengthens my case dramatically here. It's not unlocked yet, but along the way to getting Palpatine, I will also get General Grievous.
That's kind of cool.
And if that's not worth doing, because General Grievous is right up there on the list of stupid Star Wars characters.
I mean, yes.
I know they just monkey around with scale and size and the whole thing, but does Grievous hold the gun with 4 arms?
I don't know. He's not in the game yet.
Okay.
Like, I guess they do some mid-season unlock of like additional bonus items on the battle pass or something like that. So nobody has seen him. I think the 15th is when he opens up.
I mean, like, I know that they have to maintain actual gameplay, but if he can hold a gun in every arm, would be kind of cool.
That would be some. I mean, like, I've seen Vader in like lobbies of matches I've been playing, and like he's kind of small for a Vader because they have like a hitbox they have to maintain, right? They can't just like do whatever they want with the model. So,
and then does Vader and I assume Palpatine, instead of their default pickaxe, do they just have a lightsaber?
Those are equipable, so it's whatever you put on there. But no, because there are usable lightsabers in the game right now. Are we just talking about the mechanics of Fortnite without any irony here now? Because here's the thing. Yes.
I was say we don't check in with this game that often. You know, it's like we're constantly talking about Fortnite.
Okay, here's my arc. I started it up over the weekend, going like, man, I really want. And this was before I got selected for the jury, which is even more. This is making this goal even stupider now.
Got to talk to that jury pool about something.
Like, well, yeah, sure. But I mean, I just have so much less time this month. Also, this ends on June 7th, which is the day I have to fly to Summer Game Fest. Next few weeks are going to be interesting. But I fired it up over the weekend. Fucking hated it. Like, could not stand what I was doing in that game because it's so overwhelming.
Oh, Fortnite.
You remember when we were playing it, you know, it's like, the fuck does a campfire do? What are these little like poofball guys jumping around and like near these altars? What do I do with these altars?
I feel like I could see where this arc is going.
That game is so dense with stuff this is what I was referring to when I was talking about arc raiders, and in terms of a game that has accumulated like 7 years of cruft now that you have to figure out to play it effectively. So I hated the few matches I played of it. I went in the Fortnite thread on our Discord and asked for help. They gave me some decent tips primarily about how to level efficiently. Like, you should be doing 3 daily quests a day. You should do these.
Because you just want that like, Fortnite battle pass.
My thought was like, okay, I'm probably going to get Palpatine and never play this game again. I got a little bit of a foundation talking to people on the Discord, and then Will pinged me on Sunday afternoon. It was just like, Fortnite? Because I had asked him. I told him, I was like, I kind of think I want Palpatine because I'm a moron. After like 90 minutes of playing with Will, I was like, I think I might get this.
You're in it.
I have continued playing since that session. I've gotten 2 victory royales since then.
Hell yeah! Solo or with Will?
By myself.
Oh my gosh!
I think I might enjoy Fortnite now.
Look, you're not alone. It's an extremely popular game.
I think
there's no shame. You don't have to do the shame arc. We're through that. It's 2025.
We all had a phase as kids where we just mashed our action figures together. We put the guns that didn't fit into their hands so we could have our little battles. That's what Fortnite is. There's no shame in giving
100%.
into that instinct.
100%. I mean, playing that game, especially like loading into a lobby, literally just feels like watching Ready Player One. It's stupid as fuck. And you can't take it remotely seriously. And I don't know if you saw that Destiny just announced they're doing a Star Wars event and they're straight up putting Darth Vader in the game.
People seem mad.
So like, I hate that, but I love this.
Well, Fortnite never had any dignity to begin with.
That's 100% it. Fortnite has no dignity.
It is a undignified game. That is not a negative criticism. It's that dignity doesn't even factor into it.
Like you play Fortnite to wallow around in a slurry of pop culture slop, right?
Yes, 100%. And it's a functional enough game that is fun enough.
I mean, like literally, you're sitting there. I don't know, like I'm playing Alan Wake, like dancing with Sabrina Carpenter, and like, you know what I mean? Like here's a dude from Borderlands over here. Like it's just that.
It's a game that would be somebody would put in a TV show to make fun of video games, right? It is the game somebody's playing and be like, you gotta stop playing that video game, and they show it, and it's just like Darth Vader, right, with Alan Wake jumping around, being like, dude, what are you even playing? Fortnite. But now they would, I mean, not like Fortnite needs any publicity, but unironically be like, it's Fortnite, and people would be like, yeah, you're right. It's a shameless, ridiculous thing. It is consumerism at its gamiest.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as I'm often fond of saying, it is video game McDonald's.
Yeah,
it really is. But I will say, having done that PUBG stream a few weeks ago and finding that, like, people playing PUBG are very good at PUBG at this point, and that game is still very demanding. Like, I'm getting what I wanted out of a battle royale from this in a way that I'm no longer capable of getting out of PUBG.
Sure.
Like, this is just approachable enough. And also, I have to be clear, this season, all of the regular guns have been replaced with Star Wars guns. That's also clearly a huge part of it.
They make the sounds?
Absolutely, 100%. Like, it's like, here's
Han Solo's,
here's Han Solo's blaster. Here's like a big blaster rifle. It's also, there's no ammo to deal with. They all just have unlimited ammo for the season.
Weird.
So that's nice.
They have cooldown?
They do.
Okay.
Yes, they have to cool down. You have to blow steam off if you shoot them too much. But that's helping a lot, like playing with Star Wars guns. And also, there's a very high likelihood if you survive past like number 50, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get a lightsaber. And those have powers on them.
Yeah.
Like, blue lightsaber has force push, red lightsaber, you straight up get force lightning. And I straight up won one of my victory royales with the force lightning. And I have to say that felt pretty good.
Look, we are all one hyper-specific childhood fixation appearing in that game away from becoming you. We have all been there at one time or another.
Like,
they found the right hook for you this time.
Have they done Transformers? Like, has there been
Optimus
a Fortnite
is in there?
Yeah, like,
pretty sure he's in there.
I don't know whatever it was like.
Is there Peter Venkman in there?
Yeah,
probably.
Space fascist is the thing that got me on board for whatever reason.
I don't know if they've done Ghostbusters.
I don't know, but if they were, would you want?
They should have by now, I would think. Listen, call me when they put Count Duckula in that game.
Okay.
That will be the thing that finally breaks me, I think.
There are Ghostbusters like suits, like you can, but I don't think they've got likenesses of Peter Venkman or Ray Stantz or anything like that. It looks like it's all generic.
All right, Tim Sweeney, if you're listening, and you're not, but if you are, you don't have to get Bill Murray. You can just get the real Ghostbusters cartoon version. Everyone will be fine with that.
Yeah. I want the Egon, though.
That will cost way less.
Yeah, blonde Egon.
Yes, I want blonde Egon. That's a good. I'm happy that you found the thing in Fortnite to finally bridge the gap with the kids. Finally, Nextlander podcast can really connect with this new demographic.
I don't know how much I'll play after this season. Like, once they go back to real guns, some of the appeal is going to be lost for sure. But I'll have that character. In fact, I would happily use Grievous too. So I'll have a couple of stupid characters to use if and when I do play.
If you want me in that game, Tim Sweeney.
Yeah.
The members of GWAR.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
GWAR season battle pass. They'll do it.
Are you ready to commit to this? Because I feel like you might not be that far off.
Listen, if Odorous Orungus appears in that game, I will fucking play Fortnite.
To get all the way through the battle pass?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that is the stupidest possible thing they could do, and I would absolutely reward them for that.
Well, we'll get.
I still won't forgive them for Bandcamp, but I will reward them for that.
We'll get to the news in a bit because Epic might have a whole lot more money suddenly to make your dreams come true.
Maybe before this trial is over, I can sit there grinding dailies on my phone on the lunch hour.
I was very worried that Tim Sweeney wouldn't have enough money.
I will say, like, I got home yesterday. This is basically just like having a 9 to 5 thing to do every day, and like I haven't gone to an office in 4 or 5 years, right? So like getting back to that, coming home, it takes like maybe 20, 25 minutes to knock out the dailies for the day and get the daily XP bonus. It's like kind of nice to like come in, kick your shoes off, and just have a thing to do for about 20 minutes.
Could you do it on a bus ride?
Well, not unless they get it back on the phone. Which sounds like
I was
it's
thinking
coming.
more like a Switch or something.
Yeah, I could. I absolutely.
Do you need a
play
connection to play?
Yeah. You would. I could tether through my phone if I really wanted to. But
look. I do have a jury question for you, and you could say I can't talk about it, but it's not related to the case. What do they do for lunch?
You mean
like
the
when you're
schedule?
Yeah, like do they provide you a lunch? Or are they?
No.
Do they give you cash?
You do get a very small per diem,
but it's not cash.
No, that gets paid out later, is my understanding.
Okay. So you have to go. You have to go leave the courtroom and go find your own lunch.
Yeah, I took my lunch yesterday though.
Okay, brown bagged it.
Yep.
Is there a cafeteria? Or are you eating a jury room?
There is a cafe in there, but there's like a nice big sort of holding room that's got like airplane terminal style laptop stations where you can like plug in. There's Wi-Fi and stuff. So
I could ask you these jury questions all day. Okay, look, I got one more.
We will get an entire Ramblecast out of this experience once I am able to talk about it.
Will they let you in without a real ID? What if you don't have a real ID?
They didn't check an ID at all.
Wait, what?
There's security. You have to go through security.
You have to check an ID?
They don't check an ID getting into the building, but you do have to get metal
even for the jury?
All that stuff. Yeah. No.
Can I just say I'm you?
Nah, probably not.
Okay.
They might look into that.
I think it's only 16 people.
All right.
I think they get to know.
I thought it's a state building or a federal. That now we're getting into the
let's just leave it here.
I can't divulge any actual details.
Fair enough.
That's right. All right. That's gonna do it. Fortnite. They're out. Still popular. Though it sounds like all the kids are playing Hollow Knight. But Fortnite. Get your Palpatine on. That's going to do it for the games.
I'm level 16. I should have mentioned. I'm already after I started on Saturday, I think. And
you have to get to 60 something.
As of Wednesday, I'm 16 in like 4 days, 5 days.
Okay.
Yeah, like 62-ish. It sounds like would get me literally everything. So I think I'm
moving. But you could buy levels with V-Bucks if you
absolutely can. It's just pretty fucking expensive. It's like $15 for 10 levels or something like that. Yes. Yep.
All right. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We've got some news, and then we're going to wrap this one up. So stick around. And we are back. Sorry for the delay.
That's not funny. Some of us were really looking forward to that, man.
Look, I don't know if I have expressed my doubt about anybody announcing any video games ever coming out ever, but it's high. My doubt is high. I thought Rockstar announcing their date meant they were pretty secure on it, but it was far enough away where
things could happen.
Anything could happen. But if in case you don't know what I'm talking about, GTA 6, the game in which the industry moves when GTA gets announced on a date, has been delayed. Brad Shoemaker, what is our new date?
May 2026.
A year.
Yeah, 8 months.
Well, from like now.
I mean, you'll note, I believe the previous window was fall 2025, which I would argue gives you plenty of room to delay. In this case, we're at May 2026. They still have not named a day, though. So they could still push it again. I feel like until you put a date on it, a full date, you've still got wiggle room.
So, is it not May 26th? I thought it was May. I think it might be May 26th.
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. I had the actual Rockstar.
It's May 26, 26.
You're right. The Rockstar note in a different tab open, and yes, it is May 26.
So, they have their date. I still push it. They can still push that thing. So I guess the two pieces of news here, Brad, are the date moving. Oh, sorry, the three pieces of news here. We got the date. It's delayed.
Yeah.
The second piece of news, which you've linked here, is people inside of Rockstar pretty much telling us Jason Schreier. Yeah. No, we know.
We never thought that.
Nobody I've talked to at Rockstar has believed fall 2025 was a real window for a very long time now. Too much work, not enough time, and what appears to be a real desire from management to avoid brutal crunch.
Now, look, I have been very critical of a lot of companies and a lot of things over the years. I was critical about Rockstar with regard to the crunch, especially around Red Dead Redemption 2. If they are actually taking this seriously and actually avoiding this for a franchise this big that Strauss Zelnick would love that thing to be ready right fucking now, I'm actually kind of heartened to hear that they are sticking to their guns and saying, no, we're actually not going to go back on this and crunch our people to death to get this out.
Yeah. I mean, if that's all honest and true. Also, I never really have a problem with games getting delayed. I always assume it's for some kind of decent reason. Though, there was a bit that was circulating around. I think it was Kojima saying that, like, yeah, no, man, we get out of the way of Grand Theft Auto.
This might fuck some things up for some people.
Or already did, you know?
I saw Insider Gaming is claiming that they were originally scheduled to ship in September. Death Stranding 2.
Yep.
And that they may have moved it up to get out of the way. And I'm sure they're loving that now.
Listen.
So wait, hey,
Now, who knows if that's real or not? But
either way, you don't even want to be in the. You probably don't want to be in the same year as a Grand Theft Auto. You want some time to space out. In the end, it probably does pretty well for a Death Stranding, especially when it comes like what do I know? But this stuff I don't always agree with it. But when it comes times to accolades and awards and what is it? A mind share, right?
Yes.
Of people talking about this. So Grand Theft Auto, maybe at this point, a cartoonishly large presence in the games industry. Like, with that
the
being said,
800-pound gorilla. Let's be real. This is the 800-pound gorilla throwing its weight around.
I can't even think, even a Nintendo first-party franchise, that the news reverberates so much as like a Grand Theft Auto. There's just that expectation that seems like an audience has now for like, it's the impossibly good game. You know, like what will happen here? They did. Look, I'm excited. I want to see it, but they put out a new trailer.
Mm-hmm.
This trailer, while very cinematic, I did not enjoy as much as the previous Florida Man-ish trailer of like, hey, check out
setter.
Florida.
Yeah.
What's that?
The mood setter.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one feels very much here's your story set up. Like this is your serious, like couple against the world kind of thing.
Is that Arthur?
Where?
The main guy?
Wait, the protagonist? Wait,
yeah.
you mean the voice actor? What do you?
I'm saying is that the voice actor for Arthur doing the main character?
I think have they announced the cast yet?
I don't think so, but that voice is pretty distinctive.
I hope so. I didn't catch that, but I hope so because
hey, let's go rob a bank.
I love that. I mean, I've said this before about Arthur Morgan anyway, but that is very close to my favorite video game voice performance of all time.
Oh, it's really good. My only comment here is that I'm not sure it quite works for Bayou Florida Man. I don't think
that's him.
Okay, well, it's a remarkably similar performance in some very specific ways. Then, if it's not him,
what if it's his like great grandson or something? Yeah,
I feel like I should be hearing Channing Tatum coming out of that guy's mouth, if I'm being completely honest, or something like it.
I don't think anybody knows. I'm Googling around. It doesn't look like anybody knows yet for sure.
But yeah, I think this trailer, you're right, is definitely the setup of the Bonnie and Clyde crime couple in this. And again, not unexpected, but like it's extremely cinematic in terms of what they're showing there. I would never expect them to lead with even their second trailer with gameplay.
I think, and again, with a year now between this and when that game is coming out, there will probably be multiple various specific videos, not the least of which will probably be for whatever they're doing for online. I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think that the main thing I took away from this trailer is that it feels like directionally Rockstar is heading much more in the direction of more Red Dead Redemption 2s and fewer GTA 5s, like tonally. Because while there is definitely some extremely distinct GTA-ness about what they are doing here, it's a lot more muted. It is nowhere near as outlandishly loud. It just doesn't feel like they are trying to scream what they are doing at you the way that a lot of previous GTA stuff would.
I mean, I just watched the trailer right before this. I didn't like freeze frame it for details. Like there might be weird stuff in the background, but honestly, just like the rootin' tootin' ammunition ad is like the only like weird old, or the only goofy old satirical GTA type thing I saw in there. Like
there's still some branding in there. Like the beer brand is named Pendejo. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, of course.
But it didn't. The trailer at least didn't seem to be the pop culture parody that some of the other ones had. I'm not sure what this one is. Like, what is the touchstone for this one?
I mean, I do think it is to a degree Florida Man type stuff, like the wildness of Florida and the sort of hotbed of ridiculousness that is. And I'm sure a lot of that will come into play. Again, the last time they did this, they had a very specific hook to it, which was 80s cocaine. They don't have that here.
Yeah, it's been it was such a different world the last time they did Vice City. I don't mean the world of GTA. I mean the world that these games are being made. I'm with you though. I don't know what the broad themes of this will be in the way that the themes of Red Dead Redemption 2 were kind of, a man facing his mortality and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like they are at least trying to go in a more mature storytelling direction. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what that is.
I mean, from this trailer and from what they have shown here,
mm-hmm.
I did not see that. I don't, unless I missed it, that this is all real gameplay. This thing looks amazing.
It looks incredible. It's really shocking how just like on every level.
Yeah.
And that might be at the end, it says footage captured on PS5. That might be base PS5. I don't know. If it is, that's just like completely bananas. I mean, granted, those are cutscenes.
Yeah. Even still, if they're in any kind of engine.
I bet the actual game is going to look pretty damn good too.
Yeah. I wonder if they're having any trouble getting this thing optimized for like some pretty dense stuff going on in this game and driving around, streaming it in. I wonder if there's any difficulty there.
I don't know. I mean, you go back and look at Red Dead Redemption 2, still looks better than a lot of games on newer consoles. Like that thing ran on PS4 and Xbox One, and it's still one of the best looking games ever made.
Yeah, but Red Dead, like while there's the fidelity's there, I don't think it's as dense with like the city stuff, right? Like all the different people, cars, like it's pretty, and the horses, while they're fast,
mm-hmm.
they're no cars.
Yeah, it's you don't move around as fast. It's more wide open landscapes for sure. But the point is, like, I mean, Rockstar has become a pretty good tech shop.
Oh yeah,
like and they've got budget to work with. Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think people are still melting their graphics cards, trying to get different mods for GTA's running on the PC. So yeah, I'm still excited for this. I'm not cuckoo bananas for GTA, but I'm obviously very curious about what's going to happen here. And
I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 is so up there on my list of all time games. Like I was going to show up for anything they did after that. So like even just from that perspective, like how do they follow up the storytelling triumph of that game? I absolutely want to see what this is.
We will find out in about a year.
Yeah.
If this keeps up.
Also, like, good on them for fixing things in there from the sound of things.
Oh, with the
in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like trying to, at least purportedly push out so they can avoid crunch.
Schreier responded to somebody responding to his original post saying, like, this random person was just like, frankly, I do not buy for a second that Rockstar is trying to avoid crunch. He says, skepticism is always healthy, but I've been keeping tabs on this since my big 2018 story about Red Dead 2's crunch. They certainly haven't eliminated all overtime, but everyone I've talked to at Rockstar says it's night and day from previous projects.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Hey, credit where credit's due, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of buying things on credit, your Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for higher prices. This is, of course, a Microsoft story. Microsoft continues to be on the boycott, divest, sanction priority target list. So if you are following that, you're probably not buying this more expensive Xbox anyway. But boy, howdy, we talked about tariffs, I think, last week. This is a big price increase.
Yeah.
What is it? How much is it? $80?
$80 for the console.
Like, is this just effectively the end of the Xbox hardware business? Like,
I don't know.
Like, they have been... They don't report exact sales numbers, but like they have seemed to be like down year on year for the last, like, I don't know, I don't follow it that closely, but the general trend has been like very profoundly downward.
It's not trending toward them doing better, no.
Right, on Xbox hardware sales, and that was at like relatively low prices, and now that it's going up, like, where does that even leave this console? I don't even know.
I barely know how to even start with that.
The 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Xbox Series X is now going to be $729.
This aggression cannot stand.
Granted, that was like a specialty console that's got the 2 terabytes in there. It's like the limited edition. It's got starry design on it. Like that was meant to be expensive to begin with, but like, geez.
But still.
But even for your X, I mean, it's $100.
Oh,
right?
it's 100 on the X.
Well, it's 80 for the S, and it's 100 for the X. And look, we're in the US here. There are different prices going on in different territories, the UK and the EU and Europe. And I don't want to sound too tunnel vision here because prices have fluctuated in other territories before. We just reported on the Sony story about them going up, PlayStation's going up. But this is a big jump in the States here, and it's not just the Xbox, or the console itself. There's accessories are also going up. Not nearly as much, but look, an extra, yeah.
As here's the thing. At least this is all happening for a really good, justifiable reason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at the end of this, we're all going to have universal health care.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
Totally worth it.
Yeah, look, has this been reported that this is specifically tied to consoles, to tariffs, or is this cost of doing business and also these tariffs?
It's
like because we're also getting the $80 games, right? So
Yeah.
we're getting Xbox also announced, I believe it was, let me find the quote here. First party games will remain the same for the time being, but will climb to 80 from 70 from the holiday season onwards.
Yeah. So IGN's got the Microsoft story here, the Microsoft statement here cites market conditions and the rising cost of development as the reason for the price increases.
So that's what you say when you literally don't want to run afoul of the U.S. government for saying tariffs are fucking our shit up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We can hardly even we have to be careful even saying the price is increased because that's a political move apparently.
Yeah,
we don't
it sure is.
Yeah, this sucks, and that's an expensive console, like $600 for an Xbox Series X. I think I'm trying not to get too mad at it. I think what you said before, Alex, it does just feel like for no reason. Maybe if this had happened without the tariffs, it would have been different. It's just such a big increase.
Yeah.
It's such a big increase to have bought. And look, I know why I'm getting mad. Sorry. I just figured it out. It just hit me. It's because this is the exact thing I'm worried about getting my Switch 2. This is exactly it. Is this, when I get a Switch 2, is it going to be $100 late tax
Right.
on getting that Switch 2?
Very
And
possible.
I feel like, yeah, the difference between getting in on an Xbox Series X, before the jump and after the jump is $100.
Yeah.
It's not $20 here and then another $20 next year. It's not a new console with a new revision. It's not they've done a different chip upgrade or chip refresh. It's the same console, $100 more. And that's a lot of money. And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So, and again, why? Because I mentioned this somewhere else. I think it was on the Discord. Look, other places, other territories, other countries have tariffs and they have VAT taxes and all that stuff. If we were working towards everybody having healthcare in this country universally, let's say, and we're like, we need a way to pay for this, I might be a little more of like, okay, look, this is.
I wouldn't be in favor of 140% tariffs on any country.
Yeah.
But yes, maybe there's a small, tiny version of this you could do.
Could I interest you in the military parade?
You could, yeah, you could.
Only for someone who's dodged the draft multiple times.
Yeah. Got the best missiles.
The $80 game thing is maybe the crazier thing to me because how many Switch 2 games actually were announced at 80? It's just Mario Kart, right? Like Donkey Kong is still 70.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Was there something about some of the like Switch 2 edition upgrades, like the boxed Switch 1 games as Switch 2 SKUs might also be 80? I'm not 100% sure. But even if so, those are just upgrades from Switch 1. But like, I'm pretty sure Mario Kart is the only announced or brand new original $80 game, right? And already,
I think
that's all it took. That's literally all it took for Nintendo to break the seal. And here's Nintendo. Here's Microsoft. What is the break the seal metaphor? Here's Microsoft peeing all over everything.
We'll go with that.
Like just straight up, it's like somebody dared to price a game at $80. So hey, all of our games are now going to be $80 from this holiday. Just be aware.
Well, I also
Think
about how much time has passed since that Nintendo video and that release information and this news getting out there.
Yeah, it's like,
think about that's just the amount of time you would need to have several meetings about this and then come to a consensus that actually maybe we should start charging that.
It's like barely a month, and they didn't even try to like stealth or like bury it alongside a new console launch where it's easier to at least say, hey, it's a new console, it takes more development, like we can justify pricing games higher on new hardware, right? Like this is literally just a mid-generation hike because somebody else did it.
Again, if they're not going explicitly out and saying they're saying marking conditions, which is probably code, you're right, for tariffs, but like it is not. Fuck it. I'm sure they don't want to have to do it. I just don't see people being like this 5-year-old console is worth $100 more now, right? Like it's an aging console. Usually we get price drops at this point. It's
we're going in the wrong direction.
This
in
is
every
what I would have
possible
expected
way.
for an Xbox Pro.
Yeah.
Right? Like a Series X Pro or something is like,
Oh, they can't get away with that shit now.
I really would love to see more reporting on this as it goes forward about what this move is like internally, because I just don't imagine this increases your sales at all. And maybe it is a thing to be like, look, we're not selling these and we need to make more money off of each one. And what do you have? Are you also doing this because they're like, hey, look, we got Doom coming up. We got a big Xbox slate coming up. We got this Gears stuff announced.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it is a big year for Microsoft. Like,
yeah,
Avowed really hit. Like, Doom is coming. South of Midnight, I'm trying to think. They've got other stuff this year. I keep wanting to cite their PlayStation releases, which is not really relevant here.
But also at the same time, that so far, while that game lineup has gotten much better, there hasn't really been any indication that has resulted in a whole bunch more consoles sold.
Oh,
like, if
not.
anything, it seems like that stuff is doing well on platforms that are not the Xbox.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I don't know. I started to say I don't know what the rationale here is. I'm not sure that there is rationale so much as like their hand being forced on the hardware of just like, hey, we've got to do this because this is the reality of the price hikes that are coming.
I think we might just be living in a post-rationale society.
Right. And then just like, well, what I mean is like, they're like, hey, like they may very well know internally that this sucks. Let me rephrase this. I'm sure they know internally, hey, this is only going to further tank our hardware sales, which have already tanked.
This is not a winning message. Yeah.
That's what I mean. But like, hey, what choice do we have? Like, anybody who really wants an Xbox is just going to have to pay this, even though we know there are not that many people at this point who buy Xboxes. Like,
yeah.
But also, hey, we're selling our games on every platform now, so
everything's an Xbox.
Yeah, but like you can still get a Slim for $500, right? A PS5 base
for now.
Yeah, 4, right? It's still $399. Or no, hang on. The Slim. God, that's right. The Slim did go up in price.
I think it went up.
It was $450, right?
It's somewhere. I think the Pro is still like $700.
Yeah, the Pro is still so. Yeah, it is $450 for the Slim. It went up $50 from launch. I had forgotten.
So like you're still coming in on that, you mentioned their games coming to PS5, their first party games. You for $50 cheaper, you can get your competitor's console.
It's a just about an absolute no brainer at this point because a 1 terabyte Series S is $430, which is only $20 cheaper, and PS5 Slim has a terabyte now, right?
I don't know the specs.
I'm pretty sure the storage went up too. Yes, it is a terabyte, and so $20 more, you're getting a full PlayStation 5 with a terabyte of storage versus the cut down Xbox with the same amount of storage. Like, it's an absolute no brainer to just get a PS5.
I mean, the only thing you're missing out on in that ecosystem is that, if you're in that ecosystem, you will maybe want to stay there. And if you were deciding to go get Game Pass, you're not going to get that on PS5.
Yes, you are losing Game Pass. And also, who knows how long the PS5 Slim price will hold at $450. I mean, they raised...
Again, this is states prices.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They already raised prices in every territory that's not the U.S., but who knows how much longer before it comes here.
Well, speaking of stuff coming to the PS5, Gears of War Reloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Their Gears of War flagship. Halo's their flagship. Forza's a flagship. Gears of War.
I don't even know if Halo is a flagship at this point.
What an insane thing to say, yet it's very true.
You're going to be able to get your Gears of War Reloaded on the PS5 as well, and on the PC on Steam. Is it the summer? I think it's the summer.
Yeah, is that what they're saying? Summer?
I think it's summer.
Sorry, August 26th.
There you go.
Gears of War on PlayStation.
I mean, this is that Gears of War 1 that was rumored a few weeks ago for PS5, among others.
Yeah.
Seems like it is just a remaster of a remaster. I mean, they did Gears Ultimate, remember? Anybody?
Oh yeah.
That's what this is, a new version of Gears Ultimate in effect. I don't think they... Yes, okay, yes. Reloaded includes the full breadth of content from Gears of War Ultimate Edition.
I mean, so look, some of the bullet points that were in the story you linked, which is the official story from Xbox that jumped out, were like the no loading, right? Like,
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
They're kind of advertising that as an upgrade. No loading screens in campaign.
That's neat. I don't remember the loads being. I was just playing Gears of War a couple of months ago with my son on the campaign. I don't remember the loads being that bad, but maybe I'm just misremembering.
Yeah. Well, and if you were playing it on a Series X, that would have helped.
Oh, sure.
Somewhat. Yeah. But I doubt they're like re-engineering the game to be like fully streaming or whatever. I would assume it just like quick fade down to black, fade back up, but no actual. They can say there's no throbber in the corner spinning, so there's no actual load screen. Which is fine. That's totally fine. But like it very much seems like it is. They already redid assets for that Gears Ultimate a few years ago. Like that was a kind of a remake to begin with.
So it's probably according to this Xbox article, it's probably fair to point out. I think I want to say you get this for free if you bought that Gears of War Ultimate.
It's a free upgrade for Ultimate already, so that's cool. But obviously, the real thing here is like Gears on a PS5.
I don't. Yeah, it is definitely the headline there.
I think we said when this was rumored, that's basically one step down from Halo on a PS5 on the list of like, holy shit, what is happening?
We have come a long way since we were talking about Sea of Thieves on a PS5.
Yeah, like this didn't take that long, just a year and change before one of the most Xbox franchises made its way over.
Yeah,
just the first one, but still, that's still pretty significant.
It's something.
Is Gears of War Reloaded going to move a $500 or more Xbox into your hands?
Absolutely not.
Man.
Will a lot of Game Pass subscribers download it, though? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That is the Xbox stuff. Man, that's a big price increase. I know we talked a lot about tariffs last time. I know people probably don't want to hear it, but that's genuinely kind of frightening, chilling.
Yeah.
To see that big a jump on an old console like that.
Sure is.
I stopped buying coffee in the morning.
Wow.
I did.
Coffee is one thing that occurred to me very recently that I was like, oh man, is this going to get rough soon? Am I not going to want to buy coffee anymore? I'm doing my at-home coffee. Oh, I thought you meant you'd cut it out entirely.
No, yeah. I used to get it on my walk to when I drop the kids off at school, get some Dunkin' Donuts, and I have decided that it was already getting pretty expensive. It was like $3 something for the large, and so I can now. I was like, I gotta figure out some ways to chill out, and that's I have let's just say I have fixed my trade deficit with Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
you were just giving them all that money for nothing.
I was really just they were taking so much of my money and they weren't giving me any money,
ripping you off.
Yeah, really. Okay. Finally here, do you guys remember? I know you do because we've talked about this. It's on the news rundown. Do you guys remember the lawsuit Apple and Epic had?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Tim Sweeney being real mad at I'll just say, what is it, Tim Apple, at Tim Cook for not allowing him to make purchases from the App Store version of Fortnite without going through the Apple App Store's 30%.
Yep.
That was the basis of the lawsuit. It seemed that at the time, this is why this is maybe even more interesting than the outcome, that it was going to go in Apple's favor for a while.
Yeah.
And that Apple, the mandate, if I'm reading this and remembering correctly, is that the judge was like, look, you gotta chill out. Just chill the fuck out a little bit. You are doing a little bit of overstepping here. And Apple was like, cool. What if we did 27% instead of 30%?
Hey, I'm sure in their mind that's a 10% discount.
Not even. That's so like,
yeah.
So the judge was apparently like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, you've lost the ability to manage this at all. 0. And so that is the ruling that Apple, as far as I understand, currently, barring appeal, which I'm sure there will be, Apple cannot charge for purchases made in items that were purchased in the App Store. Sorry, it's a little confusing. You buy the game, you buy Fortnite in the App Store if it were still there. And then anything you buy in Fortnite does not get the 30% Apple tax then. It would go directly into Epic or whatever whatever store point of purchase you do there. So as it was, or still might be, I don't know if there's an injunction. I think there is. I think actually, as of the ruling, it might be taking place.
That's what this says.
That they cannot tax purchases made in apps bought on the App Store at that rate. So, I mean, that's a pretty big fucking deal for developers on App Store apps that were selling things a la carte, which I don't buy a ton of things on the App Store, which I then make purchases in. But that don't mean that ain't there.
Right.
And that it's not the majority of it. So this is some pretty heavy news. There was a pretty interesting, or I thought funny quote from Tim Sweeney, paraphrasing, but like, hey, maybe we'll even we'll put Epic or put Fortnite back on the App Store if Apple winds up actually following the rules this time. Which, just a reminder, Apple banned Fortnite from the App Store.
Yeah, or in fact, he's saying, I think they are bringing. This tweet is a little confusing. He says, we will return Fortnite to the US iOS App Store next week. And that was on April 30th. So that was a week ago.
Yeah.
So maybe I can grind some of those levels out at the courthouse. But
I mean, is Apple just going to unban their account?
What he says is if Apple extends the court's framework worldwide, we'll return Fortnite to the App Store and drop current and future litigation on the topic.
Oh.
So I think he's basically saying, like, hey, do this globally and we're done suing you. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of wild. I mean, it doesn't affect us. We're not a big mobile coverage place. We don't cover a lot of mobile. We're not mobile developers, but I would have to assume that this is just momentous news for people. I will even say it has affected us from our Patreon stuff, because I think Patreon is dropping their surcharge on Apple subscriptions. To Patreon's credit, they dropped that. I think it's not been that long, a few months probably since we mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
But that,
like if you were signing up through the app,
hey, be careful.
It was more expensive.
It's 30% more expensive to sign up for our Patreon on iPhone, or through the app at least. Yeah, but they dropped that like immediately.
Yeah. So super interesting. We'll see what happens in the future with this stuff, but I wonder how this will work. Not a lawyer. Don't pretend to be. But is there a chance that this happens on other marketplaces? Like, could I buy something? I don't know how these structures work on other marketplaces. I should be completely honest. But I always assumed if I bought something on a PS5, regardless of the publisher, that PlayStation was going to get a taste of some of the in-app purchases. I don't know if that's true or not. And maybe somebody could fill me in.
On a closed platform, yeah, definitely on the PS5 for sure.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed. But I guess we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, if you're an app mobile dev, congratulations.
Hey, whole new revenue streams opening up for you right now.
Yeah, there's some. So I should mention there's some better opinion pieces out there. You should go read them for all the details. Some of it's a little above me, just in terms of what might happen in the tech world around this and what maneuvers Apple might take. So, we'll see. We'll see. All right, I think that's the news.
Yeah.
Whew.
And that's the podcast.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the podcast.
A long one.
Got a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
everything happens so much.
I've heard that
all the time. Thanks everybody. We are gonna do emails. We'll catch up on more emails next week. Plenty to email us about. If you want to email us, also, if you know more about this Apple stuff, I'd love to hear about it. I'll go talk about it on the Discord and stuff as well. If you have any of the finer details or any insight into that stuff, again, always appreciate pockets of expertise from our audience and people listening. But yes, that's going to do it. Before we get out of here, some housekeeping. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I've got everything up here. We have the Watchcast rolling on with our music month. We said music documentary, but it's not just documentaries.
Not exclusively.
But we have Summer of Soul up now. Fantastic music documentary. We have our Metallica documentary also.
Some Kind of Monster, yes.
What do we have? Frank. And I'm trying to think. There's another one that's not a documentary.
That Thing You Do.
Oh, yes. That Thing You Do. So Look on the Patreon for the full schedule there. Again, Summer of Soul up on the Patreon right now. Like I said before, Will and I played some Revenge of the Savage Planet. Maybe we'll go play more of that. I don't know. We might do some more on Monday. Big shout out to Will for coming in. Like we said before, Brad is going to be locked up for majority of the week with jury duty for a while. So, like I said, our schedule is going to be bouncing around a bit.
Could be shorter, I will say. That was May 30th was the outside projection. Like that was hopefully, assuming everything goes smoothly, that's the we think this is the long version of this.
Got it.
So it could be a little sooner.
Can't wait to talk to you about this.
Out there,
everything's content. Your civic service.
Get the judge on the podcast after this.
That's right. Abby joined us for the Lost Records finale. You should check that out. We're going to probably continue doing more stuff on Tuesdays with her. Got to find our next big adventure there. And then programming notes. We are definitely going to be streaming Alex and I on Thursday so that we can catch some time with Brad on this coming Friday to record some stuff. Is a little bit of a lighter jury schedule, so we're going to try and squeeze in the watchcast.
It's weird. There are like pockets here and there. Like this Friday is the one Friday we're off for some reason. It's just people involved in the trial probably just have other obligations. Like there's one day where it's only in the morning and then we leave at lunch.
So we're trying to get in where we can get in, and we're going to do some recordings, especially the watchcast, to make sure we get that in for this week. But so Alex and I will be streaming probably more grab baggish stuff on Thursday. So check that out. I'll make sure the calendar is updated by the time you hear this. Over on the Patreon, patreon.com/Nextlander. You heard us talk in the beginning. We were not joking around. Cannot do it without you and your support. And you can go support us over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Where you can find a tier that is right for you. And there is one tier that gets their names read on this here show, and it is the Mysterious Benefactors tier. And I'm going to read those names for you right now. Starting with Sean Miller. Zach's son got his first platinum trophy. Congratulations, Zach's son. RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deirdre is a vampire, Gary Pejke, Pug Tato, Bunny Fiend for FIA Presidents, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, versus Randy Oh, that's pretty good. Versus Randy Alderson. 2 Randys enter, 1 Randy leaves. Wow. Those are 2 different names, and that is a very good bit. Congratulations to you. Andrew Teepkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, Saul T. Balls, and Tyler Treese.
Good old Tyler Treese, always there at the end.
Just waiting for really, you.
Just round the whole thing out. tie that list together.
Throwing me some curveballs in there. Some good stuff. Thanks to all our mysterious benefactors, and thanks to everybody who has supported us, who continues to support us, who supports what we do and what we'd like to do. And thanks for everybody who has supported the people who need supporting out there. That's it for the show.
No.
Yeah, we did it. We made it through. Thank you, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker.
Thank you.
See you again next week, same time.
Yeah.
All right. Who knows?
Actually, I should mention, apparently, once we reach the deliberation stage, we will go in on a Wednesday.
Oh, no.
Yes. But, I mean, that's probably a good thing then, right? Because that means it's almost over.
True.
Oh, yes. I saw the calendar you posted, which meant that,
I forgot to mention that detail. Sorry. Is it possible your deliberations will start after Wednesday? Yeah, it's possible. That won't even overlap
and they will be done
with a Wednesday. But
look, I am not saying you need to pervert the wheels of justice to end the deliberations before our podcast. But what I am saying is, I love having you on the show, and if you could if you could get those people on your jury to just reach a verdict, I don't care what it is, before deadline, that would be pretty awesome.
That said, we are pivoting. When you get back, we are doing nothing but courtroom dramas for the next 6 months on the Watchcast.
All right.
It's true. I hope you wind up with I don't know how you what do you even say? A good experience? It's
educational. Let's say.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Like it's nice to see the wheels turning.
Yes. I'm sure not for the people who are involved in the case. I'm sure they'd rather not see those wheels turn at all. But thank you very much for being here, Brad. Appreciate it. And thanks again to everybody. We'll be back next week.